Hello? Yeah. All right. Thank you. Okay. Good evening. Is it on?
It's going to be hours. Hours.
Good evening.
No. Test. Yep.
All right. Good evening. I call to order the meeting of the Hamilton Regional School Committee on Thursday, June 6th, 2024, at 7:02 p.m. And I invite you to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I want to remind you all that this meeting is being recorded and live streamed on HWCam. Before we get started with citizens' comments, we do have on the agenda, we want to take a moment to recognize our student government representatives. Mr. Tracy?
Thank you. As many know, throughout the school year, we have representatives of each of the classes come to a meeting one time a month and present on basically student life at the across the district, and they have to gather information all the way from the elementary schools all the way up through the high school, put together a presentation, and then come and present them here in front of everyone. So we want to thank them tonight because really they're off the books now. Julia has graduated, but I just want to call the four of them up. I have Evie Bernard, Jake Collins, Whitney Fitzgibbons, and Julia Sappas. Do a quick picture.
Second handshake.
This is graduation bonus.
I don't know. Someone take a photo?
Oh, with all of us?
Okay. Getting up. Yep. Okay.
Oh, I didn't know if we wanted all this.
Thank you. And I just want to say, as they dash out the door, how meaningful it really is to have that connection from a student for those of us here on the school committee. It's really greatly appreciated, and thank you very much for your work. Okay, so next up we have citizens' comments. I'm going to say a couple things before we get started. Citizens' comments, this is the time now for you to have the opportunity to speak and for us to have the opportunity to listen. So it's not a back and forth. I'm going to just read a little bit, which I don't always do, but I really want people to understand. This is just a little bit from our policy about public comment. The school committee desires individuals to attend meetings so that they may be better acquainted with the operations and the programs of our local public schools. In addition, the committee would like the opportunity to hear public comment. Public comment is not a discussion, a debate, or a dialogue between individuals and the school committee. It's an individual's opportunity to express an opinion on issues within the school committee's authority. So I'm going to ask that when you speak, that you give us your name and please spell your last name so that we can have it correct for the minutes. I'm going to ask you to limit your comments to 3 minutes. And we really need to do that. So we really are going to stop after 3 minutes, okay? So when you get up there, you have 3 minutes to talk, okay? I'm going to have a member of the committee be the timer. Amy, you've been the timer. Would you mind doing that again? And she'll give you a 30 seconds heads up when you're getting close to that 3 minutes. It's about 7:05 now. What I'm looking to do, and I'll look to the committee, is to go until about 7:30, and then we'll stop, and we'll see where we are. But those of you, I like to think everyone in the room has probably looked at the agenda this evening and seen that it's quite long, and there are a lot of important things on it. And it's possible that with the number of people in the room, that it may not be possible for each and every person to speak for 3 minutes. So I want you to be prepared for that now. All right, with that being said, we also might have some people on Zoom, but we're going to start here in the room. And I will start with Mr. Rustino at the microphone.
All right, so my name is Nicholas Rustino. That's Ristaino. I teach history at the high school, and I'm the president of the Hamilton-Wenham Regional Education Association. We represent the office personnel, education support professionals, and the teachers. We're here tonight to urge the committee to settle a just and competitive and fair contract for the teachers and for the townspeople to support the needed investments in the very future of Hamilton and Wenham. We have to maintain salaries that are competitive with Manchester Essex, with Andover, with North Andover, with Winchester. You'll have an opportunity in a few weeks to vote on an improvement in the health insurance split, which would get us closer to be more competitive with other districts. We've had people be offered a job and then not take it because of the salary and the health insurance, but it doesn't stop there. All the local districts around us are at the bargaining table. I've seen what they are proposing, and we need to maintain that competitiveness with all the local districts. They're looking at the same contracts I am. 2 weeks of paid parental leave is not going to be enough when places will settle for 12. No paid family medical leave is not going to be enough when places will settle for 60. One local's already tentatively agreed to it. Now, in terms of looking at the broader picture, we wholeheartedly support building new school buildings. A consolidated elementary school will allow us to better distribute students across different classes and reduce class sizes. Having all of our programs under one roof will be much more efficient use of our budgetary resources, and it'll be really nice for kids to go to school in a building that doesn't have asbestos in it. Having coached in the district for many years, I no longer coach, but I used to for many years, the field project was long overdue. So we support new fields, we support new schools, but we got to invest in the people that are going to be coaching on those fields and teaching in those schools. And I know this is going to be hard. I've been here for 17 years, and I'll probably be here for 17 more. But the most important things in life are often the hardest, and I can think of nothing more important than investing in the future of Hamilton Wenham. Thank you.
Thank you.
Way to go, Nick. Let's go. My name is Chantel Clark, C-L-A-R-K. I teach at the Winthrop School. I've been teaching since 1999, and I have a master's plus 75 on the salary scale. Currently, I make $10,000 less than a teacher with a master's plus 30 in Manchester, Essex.
Thank you.
My name's Linda Mastriani, Mastrianni. I live at 23 Maple Street in Hamilton, so I am a taxpayer, but I'm also the tech integration specialist across all 3 elementary schools. And we are losing teachers to other districts, and we have trouble hiring qualified teachers because other districts pay more and have a better insurance split.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Allison Goodchild, Goodchild. I teach kindergarten at Color. I've taught in the district long enough to have to teach the students of former students. In my time at Hamilton Wenham, I've given up a furlough day, I've taken a step freeze, I've taken a 0% raise, and also taken a 1-1 split. Now we've been hit with historic inflation. We need to agree to more competitive wages that allow us to begin to financially catch up. Thank you.
Thank you.
I am Katie O'Brien. I was a Hamilton Wenham graduate, and now I teach 4th grade at Winthrop School. The committee's prep time proposal for elementary teachers is not conducive for them to prepare several different curriculum units and individualized teaching to all students. The union wants 60-minute planning blocks, which means more time for art, music, library, and gym.
Thank you.
I'm Maggie Shack. I'm an elementary PE teacher, and I live at 16 Kimball Ave in Wenham. I ask that you support a fair contract in order to retain our teachers. It is absolutely heartbreaking to hear whispers of our dedicated teachers in Hamilton Wenham looking for new jobs. I ask that you support 60 consecutive is the key word, minutes of elementary prep time. This will allow our youngest learners to have more specials, something that their physical, emotional, and social development
isn't
depends
working.
on. Less minutes of teacher prep time will mean less minutes of specials. And I beg you not to let this happen. We tried 40-minute specials for 2 years. Shuffling kids in and out like we did, out like this, did not work for anyone. As a PE teacher for over 20 years, 40 minutes classes made me feel like a camp counselor. It wasn't good teaching. Specialist teachers need more time to teach our students, not less. I also ask that you please support the new combined elementary school building project. Our kids deserve a healthy and equitable learning environment. We desperately need an updated building with proper resources for all Hamilton Wenham children alike. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name's Kathy O'Shea. I am a teacher here at Bucher School. I've been in the district for 38 years. I urge you to support us because supporting a fair contract means supporting quality educators and more equitable experiences for all of our students. I also am here to say that I have worked at all 3 of the elementary schools. I went through them as a student, and I support the joint building project. When Eric presented the whole project to us, my heart felt a little sad that I wouldn't have an opportunity to teach in those beautiful new buildings that are going to support the education that our children deserve, and teachers deserve the opportunity to have those new buildings. So I support that.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you. My name is Bridget O'Donnell, O'Donnell. I live at 105 Main Street in Wenham. As an 11-year resident of Wenham, and I have a son that graduated from the high school, and a Hamilton Wenham teacher for 24 years, I ask you to support us by agreeing to a fair contract with competitive pay. It is the district goal to attract and retain teachers and staff, and that is certainly the most powerful way to do that amongst all these other things that we've been talking about. Students do deserve a 60-minute special instead of the committee's proposed 40 minutes, which is 10 minutes less than our current time. So instead of cutting specials, I urge the committee to add to it and really honor the needs of the whole child. Some children, the best part of their day can be going to art class, or learning a new skill in PE, or playing an instrument in music. In library tech, not only do they get to check out, have an ample time to look, shop around for a book that best suits them, but they also are learning some tech skills, some STEM activities, and it's just really a place for children to flourish. And by reducing that time, it lessens their growth as a human, but it also cuts back teachers' planning time. And at the elementary level, we are we're in the hole a lot when it comes to planning time compared to the middle and high school. And I get that's the nature of the beast where we work and how our day works. But there's a lot to be asked of teachers that is very different from 24 years ago when I first came. There's a lot more data analysis that we never did before. There's a lot more correcting of very long assessments that students are doing that teachers want to give honest, important feedback to students that cannot be accomplished in this short amount of time. I would also like to add that teachers who choose and are sometimes asked to do summer curriculum research and development work receive a rate of pay that honors us for the degrees we have earned and our expertise. All teachers should get paid their rate to do work beyond the contracted days, just like they do during the extended school year program in the summer. It's not difficult.
30 seconds.
Okay. Lastly, I want to voice my support for the new combined elementary school project because Hamilton Wenham students deserve nothing but the best in terms of learning environments and teachers and staff that love working here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Alicia Anderson, Anderson, and I've been teaching here in the district for 21 years. I teach 5th grade over at the Cutler School. We teachers are willing to change school start times, as has been proposed by the negotiations committee. However, the committee's current proposal to change start times to, open quote, between 7:25 a.m. and 9 a.m., close quote, is too vague. Hamilton Wenham educators and Hamilton Wenham families need more definitive start times and certainly more than 3 months' notice of this change, as is proposed currently, in order to arrange things like childcare and, in some cases, both childcare and elder care. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Maria Mahart, M-A-C-H-A-R-T. I've been a taxpayer in Hamilton for 30 years, and I work now in the middle school with the disabled children who live in our communities. Along the lines of changing the times when the students are in school, just want to remind everybody that we've asked for a plan to support your proposal to get rid of early dismissal on Wednesdays. We can't agree to something like that until we know the specifics of how will elementary school planning time happen, if not on those Wednesday afternoons like they do now. When will parent-teacher conferences occur? When can special education consultations occur? That we have district-run initiatives. We want time with our administrators in our buildings so we can work on building-level initiatives. When will that happen, if not on Wednesdays? The latest proposal doesn't answer any of those questions, but as soon as we can get those answers, we can really get to work on making a plan and helping our families get prepared for that change. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Nora Burnett, B-U-R-N-E-T-T, and I teach English at the high school. And I just wanted to reemphasize the idea that 2 weeks of parental leave is not enough. You know, everybody who has children here at Hamilton Wenham, you understand how that time is really precious. And so we were really pushing toward 12 weeks of leave for having a new child in your family, as opposed to the 2 that is currently being offered. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Kate Hayashi, H-A-Y-A-S-H-I. I'm the new elementary music teacher in the district. I urge you to support this contract. Newly in Hamilton Wenham, and with the perspective of another thriving district in Massachusetts, I believe our students here in these towns deserve 60 minutes of consecutive specials each weekly and a new building with equitable programming and resources. All Hamilton Wenham students deserve the opportunities to access resources that continue to build 21st century skills with 21st century materials, learning conditions, and teaching practices that will then match the skills and practices of other neighboring and statewide students. Thank you for your time and consideration to this life-lasting work, and promise for the children in Hamilton Wenham. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ed McCarthy, capital M, small c, capital C, A-R-T-H-Y. I'm at 60 Cunningham Drive and on the butter to the Cutler School. Tonight we opened up the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. And to the Republic. We are a republic. We are a republic form of government, and you are our elected representatives. So I respectfully ask that from a moral and a civil obligation to please respect the will of the people you are elected to represent. Overwhelmingly, in your own survey sent out, people do not want consolidation of these schools. They don't. They just do not want this. I can't say it any more adamantly than that. Now, I think having the teachers here tonight brings a special opportunity for improvement, is one of these buzzwords they love to use in corporate. So if we can spend millions and millions and millions of dollars for a new mega school, I don't think there would be one single taxpayer who would disagree with me that we should invest that money in our teaching staff in a small local school system. I was a municipal employee for other towns, and they have great benefits and not so great benefits. So as a taxpayer, I would love to see the wages and the benefits of these people improved. And honestly, if you take the money away from the mega school and put the money into the teachers, we're going to get a lot more bang for our buck. So thank you very much.
Excuse me, I'm actually going to, you should stay there, but I'm going to take, it looks like we have a comment on Zoom now that they're up and running, so I'm going to include someone on Zoom. We'll do, let's do one on Zoom.
Eric, you're all set? Yep, go ahead.
Yes.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, perfect. Good evening. My name is Eric Muster, and I live on Naples Road. Thank you for taking the time and opportunity for us to provide feedback on the school consolidation project. After reviewing the survey and the results that came in, the results are quite grim. Results reflect that a large majority of our towns do not support this large consolidated school. This comes as no surprise, as large schools are not what is best for young learners and their education, as countless studies and research have continued to show. Please do not select an option which will not and is not supported by the voters. Over 750 residents have signed a petition to keep our schools small, and this number will continue and has continued to grow, and it will continue to grow until a town vote next year. It's not going to shrink, and it's not going to get smaller. It's only going to continue to grow. Now, according to the MSBA website, in case of a failed town vote, it states, in quote, in the event that a school district fails to approve funding for a proposed project within the 120-day deadline, by no later than 10 business days following the failed vote, the school district must submit to MSBA a plan that 1, presents the vote results, 2, explains the school district's understanding of the reasons for the failed vote, and 3, sets forth the school district's plan to remedy the failed vote and a suggested timeline for such remedy. The MSBA will review the plan and determine whether it can continue to set aside MSBA funds for the proposed project. Now, take focus of this last line. However, a failed local vote likely will result in the school district being required to submit a new statement of interest to the MSBA and await an invitation from the MSBA to enter the eligibility period phase of the MSBA's process. Meaning we have to start this entire process all over. Let's not do that. Let me be clear. We are informing you now why this vote will eventually fail. The research shows that small schools are better for children and their education. No research was conducted by the SBC which showed that larger consolidated schools are better for children, as was confirmed by the superintendent. Small local neighborhood schools are better for our towns and a sense of community. Now, lastly, I do also want to note that after discussions with the MSBA just today, their legal department is still reviewing the error that was made in creating and forming the school building committee. They have yet to provide feedback onto if that process has any impact on our entire eligibility and working through the selection and forming of the school building committee. We have yet to hear how their legal department has decided that they would respond to that. I know our legal counsel has provided their recommendations on correcting this issue. However, the MSBA has been made aware, as confirmed today, that they've been notified that the SBC was not formed in adherence to the local agreement, and the forms that were signed by the superintendent when creating the SBC were not adhered to according to the MSBA's principles and policies, as was on the form. So the MSBA is still reviewing whether or not that'll have an impact on this entire process. So I think a vote is still premature.
3 minutes.
If you do vote, please do not vote for large schools. Thank you.
Thank you. Looks like we'll move back to the room now. And if we could just try to, everyone, I don't know if they can even hear me, but if everyone on Zoom could stay on mute so we don't get that echo. Thank you for your patience.
No worries. I like the spot. My name's Will Hanson, Hanson. I'm at 51 William Fairfield Drive in Wenham. We only moved to town a couple years ago. We have 3 kids, one of which is a first grader at Bucher, another will be starting kindergarten at Bucher in the fall. In looking for a town to raise our family, we very carefully considered various school systems. The 3 community schools in Hamilton Wenham played a big role in that choice, and in speaking to many other parents at school, we are not alone. Now, however, you are on the brink of drastically changing the landscape of the towns that we all chose to invest in. I appreciate everything the school building committee has done, but unlike the school building committee, you are elected officials with an obligation to represent the constituents that elected you. Given the immense cost of the project and the time and taxpayer money already spent on the project, sending a consolidated vote as a simple yes/no is a mistake. The survey you commissioned was a very smart move and properly vetted the issue with taxpayers. To quote from the survey, when blindly asked, only 30% of constituents support the project as proposed, with 53% opposed. Once the surveyed persons were informed about the pros and cons of the project, the percent of support for the project decreased to only 28%, with 56% opposed, a margin of 28% more opposed. The survey results are pretty clear. To rubber stamp the recommendation of the building committee in light of the survey results does not fulfill your duty to your constituents. We are a democracy. In light of the survey results, it would be a grave mistake to send option C34 to the polls. While polls are not always accurate, the clear margin in this case show that the matter would be voted down, and the countless hours and taxpayer funds that have already been spent would be for naught. We should tread carefully, as I believe this is very similar to what happened in Ipswich not long ago. The only way to properly vet the consolidation issue is to send it to the polls. This can't just be an up and down vote on a consolidated school, as the majority are clearly opposed to that. The survey indicated that the highest support was for option C31, or new construction at Cutler. Send that to the polls instead. Or, better yet, I propose a second option. Send 2 options to the polls, as the real issue here should not be whether there's a preferred single option, but rather whether 1 or 3 schools is the right approach. Send the vote for a consolidation option and a different option that preserves the 3 schools. Only then will you have a real answer as to the option preferred by our 2 towns. And disregarding the survey results questions whether this is the right group to continue to speak on our behalf. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jeff Austin, 50 Sharon Road. I want to start off with saying that I don't want to make this a teacher versus resident. Like the other gentleman said, I'm sure everybody here would advocate for getting the teachers what they deserve. Educational resources come first. And I don't know if the teachers are aware of this, because I heard a lot of support for the consolidated school. It's not the only option. Matter of fact, the 3 that were put on the table are not the only option at the end of the day. I wanted to read a couple of the statistics that came out of the polls. And I know you might go over this later on, but I want to read it because at the start of this community requested poll some weeks back, a few board members implied that the poll doesn't matter. They were going to make their own decision, regardless of what the results of the poll was. And I see you shaking your head. Yeah. It's irresponsible. We're going to waste 10 months from now until the vote when you already have a clear indication of what the vote's going to be right now. Couple of the key things I pulled out of this poll that you had was, one of them was the public education direction, which would seemingly be the school board and the superintendent are headed in the right direction or off on the wrong path. 45.6 said that they're in the right direction. So you have less than half the confidence of the people in town that you're headed in the right direction. That's poor. School conditions. Excellent, 4.4. We all know it's not excellent. We all know we can do better. Good, 24.3%. Fair, 27.7%. Those are the 2 highest ratings, fair and good. Not poor, not very poor, fair and good. Out of the three options that were put forth, there was the 750-student elementary Cutler School, which is demolished in Winthrop, making one big school. 52% opposed. Out of that 52%, strongly opposed was 40%. The new Cutler School with a new footprint, accommodating the same amount of students, opposed was 45.1%, strongly opposed 28.9%. Out of the new Cutler School with the same footprint, not a new footprint, that was the closest margin. 40% opposed, 37.4% opposed. All three of them are opposed. It's a clear indication that the town does not want this. We need analytics on what it would cost to perform a reasonable renovation of both Cutler and Winthrop outside the MSBA and be fiscally responsible over time while not sacrificing our small elementary children's well-being. Otherwise, why would we continue to embark on a 10-month project with an expensive project management office to put forth a vote we already know will not pass in town? Why? Thank you very much.
Just hold for 1 second. So it's 7:30. It looks to me like we have 4 people in line. Is that accurate? So I'm going to look to the committee, but what I'd like to do is I'd like to offer those 4 people their time to speak, and then I'd like to end public comment. I'm going to look to the committee to feel like, do people feel generally comfortable with that?
I'm comfortable with that. I'm wondering if we should also take 1 or 2 more from Zoom, to be fair.
Mr. Tracy, do we have anyone on Zoom? We have quite a few people, but they don't have their hands raised. So I am going to address this. We address this at nearly every meeting. The Zoom meeting is for an opportunity for them. We speak to this at every meeting. It's an opportunity for them to offer comment. The meeting is actually being broadcast on HWCam. If you want to watch the meeting, you should watch it on HWCam. The Zoom is an opportunity that we felt is important to add so that if someone isn't able to come here, that they could be on Zoom and come and still offer a comment. But it really is not the way to watch the meeting. The meeting is being broadcast on HWCam. Great. Okay, so it looked to me like the committee feels comfortable with the 4 more people, each with 3 minutes, and then we'll end the public comment. Okay?
Good evening, Erica Tortorici, 85 Woodland Mead, Tortorici. I first want to say that we support our teachers, and if teachers are feeling unsupported by the town, they can't show up and teach our students and give them the best education possible. So we do support that, but I am in fear that if we move forward with a consolidation, there will be extreme amount of people in town seeking other alternate education for their children, me being one of them. I do not want to send my small children to a large, giant elementary school, and I also feel that we can invest in our small 3 schools, and I urge the committee to listen to the townspeople so that we can support our teachers and invest in this and keep our schools small. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Stephen McWhorter, 18 Cunningham Drive, MCWHIRTER. Thank you to the school committee, thank the teachers. We don't want to lose teachers, but I'm just going to point out, I've done 2 weeks of polling. I think I eclipsed 100 people this week, parents, even with their children. Unequivocally, they moved here for small schools. End of story. With that said, I want to point out the size of this consolidated school is bigger than the high school. The other thing I learned during my... The size of the school, this consolidated, is bigger than the high school. Just so people realize how big this is. I compared things off the state site, building authority, looked at other towns, looked at Manchester, compared the size of those buildings and such. Doesn't even look like that size would fit on that corner of Cutler. But what concerns me the most, and I learned this just by asking, what people thought about the school. Somebody in the neighborhood near the school told me that the town's been on the property. They did a test pit, test well, and they hit water. And I just want to know if the town has ever even told the school committee that. There's water on that site that's not ledge, and it actually is running to wetlands. Pretty much that's all I have to say. I just wanted to let that be said. But and the site engineers, when they hit the water, said, yeah, we hit water. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Rick Mitchell, Mitchell. I'm going to be the skunk at the garden party here. I actually want to commend the school committee and the building committee for the process that they've engaged in over the last 2 years. I respect that they went through a due diligence and that they were defined, and much of that was defined by the MSBA, and they followed that to a letter. So I have no problem with the process, nor do I have a problem with the decision that you come to make tonight. That's my first comment. My second comment is you're hearing a lot of reliance on this survey, and it reflects the will of the people of the towns of Hamilton and Wenham. I would respectfully remind not only the school committee, but the audience that there are 8,400 registered voters in this community. This surveyed and talked to 300 people, which represents 3.7% of the population that will vote on this. That means 96.3% of people registered in this town to vote were not consulted and had no voice in the decision-making. Third, the questions were so narrowly construed as to completely ignore the other elements in the decision-making process, especially for the residents of Hamilton, who bear 70% of the land that's devoted to the schools. By vacating the Winthrop site, that will open up potentially 14 acres for tax rendering development that could offset substantial.
Oh, he listened to you respectfully.
No.
Sure.
Excuse me, no,
Sure.
no.
Fine. But all of you are going to complain about the tax burden, that the tax burden is too high, that you don't want to pay the cost. But you can't pay the cost unless you have revenue-producing land in this town. So anyway, I want to make that point that there are many sides to this story. It's not just one survey, and thank you for your service.
Thank you.
For the record, the 3 minutes were not up.
That was 3 minutes. Oh, it's not 3 minutes.
Hi, my name is Leandra DeFeo, DEFEO, 4 Sharon Road. Both my husband and I grew up in Hamilton and Wenham. I went through the entire school system. I went to Cutler. One of the reasons why we came back to town was for our small schools and amazing teachers, I gotta say. We have the best teachers. I just want to add my voice to the others that say I am opposed to a consolidated school. I have a kid in middle school, one at Cutler, and I have a 2-year-old coming that's going to be in the school systems in a few years, and I just can't imagine sending her to a school that large. And I would just respectfully ask, it does sound like maybe the poll was a bit flawed. I know I got a text about it, my husband did not. So why such a small pool was chosen rather than a larger selection of people is a question I'd love to hear the answer to. But just respectfully, we voted for you to represent the people of this town, whatever the people of this town say that they want, and to make the best decision from what you are hearing from the townspeople and not just your own opinions. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. So at this time, we're going to close public comment. All right, so we can let the people know on Zoom that public comment is closed and that they certainly can watch the rest of the meeting on HWCAM if they'd like. For those people who choose to stay in the room, I will just remind you that this is a business meeting of the school committee. that represents the people who are sitting here at the table and the people who are recognized by the chair. All right. It's a business meeting that's taking place in public so that we are being recorded, we're being broadcast, and we have people here in the room who are watching. But to be clear, the discussion and the conversation is going to be with the people who are here at the table and the people who are recognized by the chair moving forward. Okay. Next up, we are going to review some school committee protocols, and I think I asked Julia to read that. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
As elected members of the Hamilton Wenham Regional School Committee, we, including the superintendent, accept the high honor and trust that has been placed in us to ensure that the students of the district receive the best education possible. To that end, we hereby commit to the following in the conduct of our business. Number 11, a school committee meeting is a business meeting that is held in public, not a public meeting. The committee will make every effort to ensure meetings are effective and efficient. And number 12, the school committee recognizes the importance of working collaboratively with town officials and actively seeking their support to improve the district.
Thank you. And then Jen, would you be willing to read a portion of the mission statement, please?
Absolutely. The Hamilton Wenham Regional School Committee will lead and inspire a district that is a source of civic pride and municipal engagement to serve the community for generations to come.
Thank you. Okay. Our secretary is not yet here. He has a work commitment, and he is coming. Forgive me, is it you? Yeah.
Dana, could I just ask a question real quick? The guest that's coming for the school building polling subcommittee.
Ms. Jolene,
Yeah, I was just asking what time. Is 8 o'clock a good estimate?
I think that is a good estimate, yes. Yeah, I think that's a great estimate.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. What's his time constraint, I believe? I think he said he has till 9, but we don't anticipate taking him that long.
Yeah,
Yes.
I would hope it would be less than that.
Okay. Is he okay?
Yeah.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, before we get to the consent agenda, does anyone have any items that they would like to hold from the consent agenda? Okay, seeing none, Jen, if you would.
I move that we accept the consent agenda as written in the minutes.
Second.
Second by Amy Kuhnberger. All those in favor? That is unanimous of the 6 members present, and the motion passes. It's okay. So next, we are moving to finance and operations, and Vinny, you have a couple things for us.
Yep, just our annual appointment every year to reaffirm Kevin Mers as our district treasurer. He has been here with us for 3 years and is a vital part of the business office, and it's without hesitation that I ask for you to reappoint him for another year.
Okay, so I think we'll need a motion to start.
I move that we approve Vinnie's recommendation to reappoint Kevin Murr as the treasurer for the next fiscal year.
Second.
Second by Amy Kuhnberger. Does anyone have any questions?
It is fiscal year, right?
Yeah, fiscal year. Sorry, did I say calendar? Sorry.
No, you didn't say either. I just wanted to make sure I was right.
Okay, yeah, so July 1, right? Okay. All right, anybody have any items for discussion? No. Looks like we're ready to vote. All right, all those in favor? That is unanimous of the 6 members present, and the motion passes. Thank you for that, Vinny. And then I understand you have is it a?
Yeah, can we do it at the end?
What?
No, let's do
No,
this
no,
one.
I want,
Do
no,
this
no,
one
no.
now. We need-
You have a brief presentation, I think?
Okay, I'm gonna
Yep.
go up there then.
Mike, up there, go.
What? It's a, yeah. It's a shorter one. It's really short.
Yeah. It had pictures.
Sorry, I thought it was the end. I didn't have it up.
Is it Owl kicking him off?
No, it's not connected to. Just a switch.
Yep.
So tonight I'm here for just a brief presentation to request an increase to our elementary school bank account limits. So just for a quick overview, each elementary school has 2 bank accounts, one being a checking account and one being a savings account. So 6 bank accounts across the 3 elementary schools. When a field trip money is collected from the students, it's deposited directly into the savings account. When the money is to be paid out for the field trip, a check is cut out of the school district's checking account. Behind the scenes, a request is made by the building principal directly to the district treasurer to transfer funds from the savings account to the checking account in order to process that payment. The current limit on the checking accounts is $1,000 each for the 3 elementary schools. So just as an example of why this is creating complications for us, I picked a random field trip. For the Winthrop Elementary School on March 4th, students went to the Museum of Science. The total bus cost was $485, and the total cost for the museum tickets was $816. Combine these 2 items together, it's more than they have in their checking account. So behind the scenes, we have to break this up into 2 different payments and into 2 different warrants. And as you guys know, we run warrants every other week. So in order for the elementary school just to cut the check for these 2 expenses, it takes 3 to 4 weeks because they do not have enough money in their checking account. They do have enough money, however, it sits in their savings account. But because we can only process one every other week, it creates that 3-week problem and delays the whole process and really makes it difficult for the building administration and the principals to process payment, and they really have to plan almost 4 weeks ahead of time in order to go on one field trip. So simply tonight, we're just asking that that increase be moved up to $2,000. We don't have any field trips that cost more than that at this time, so we're just asking simply that that limit be increased by $1,000. And here's the motion if you choose to do so.
Thank you. So if you're willing, let's start us off with a motion, and then people can certainly ask questions within the motion if they want.
I move that the Hamilton-Wenham Regional School Committee approves the increase in the elementary student activities checking account maximum balance to $2,000.
Second.
Second by Amy Kumberger. She's gotten all the seconds today. She's on it. So are there questions?
What happens if you have, say, a trip to the aquarium and a trip to the Museum of Science on the same week? Like, is $2,000 going to be enough, or are we going to run into this problem or limit what our students can do?
If that happened, we would. That hasn't happened yet where we've needed more than $2,000, but if that does occur, I'd probably come back to you to increase it again. It does increase our exposure the more money we put in the checking account. Right now, me and Kevin feel comfortable that this will be sufficient.
Okay.
Any other questions? No. Any further discussion? No. Okay. All right. Looks like we're ready to vote. All those in favor? That is unanimous of the 6 members present, and the motion passes. Thank you very much. I just want to put in my 2 cents, which I appreciated the pictures. It was fun to have something a little bit lighthearted. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so if Mr. Lane is ready, we can, I know we moved through that more quickly than we thought. If not, we can certainly flip-flop, and we could ask Alan if he wants to go first. So he's ready.
It's more the presenter, the. Because in this case, Trent's the chair.
Chris, are you ready to present?
No, I think, I'm not sure.
If not, wait, I mean, I know we told him 8 o'clock,
thought
so
he
I'm
was gonna
happy
be
to
in
flip-flop if, oh, no.
Yep.
Oh, no,
Welcome, thank you. All
that's the answer.
right, can we get rid of the? Yeah, there.
Dana, before Chris presents, does it make sense for me to just talk
Sure.
about
So I'm
the
gonna,
subcommittee?
yeah, sure, I'm gonna just turn it over, you're gonna get up and say something? Trent?
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
wanted to talk about process.
Yeah, so Trent, our chair of the ad hoc subcommittee on polling, is going to give a little brief introduction, and then we'll hear from Chris Lane from the polling company. Go ahead.
Excellent, thanks. So after the last time this committee met and voted to allow us to contract with the polling company, we met several times as a subcommittee and ultimately developed questions that all 3 members of the subcommittee had the opportunity to contribute to and to vet, and then approved for moving to the actual poll. And so at that point in time, Chris was able to implement the process that his company uses, and I would invite you now, Chris, to talk about the methodology and then the results of the study.
Thanks, guys. I just want to make sure you can hear me okay, because I could only catch every few words of Trent there.
I can hear you. Yeah, can everyone hear him?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yes.
Excellent. Cool. My name is Chris Lane. I'm a pollster with a firm called Signal. We're based out of Washington, D.C., and we've been ranked the #1 most accurate polling firm in the country the last 3 cycles, 2018, 2020, and 2022. It just happens to be that I'm also from Massachusetts. That was kind of a random coincidence when Trent had reached out. I'm very familiar with Hamilton and Wenham. I worked for Governor Baker for the better part of the last decade as well. So I'm going to hop into the results of this poll, but before we get started, I just want to see if anyone had any questions before I do so.
Sure, and we're going to do that in sort of an organized way here. So do members of the committee have questions for him to start? We'll give you an opportunity also to have questions afterwards. So it's up to you if you want to ask something now or if you want to hear him speak first.
I'd rather let him speak, and he might answer my question in his.
Okay. So yeah, it looks to me, my gut, Chris, is that members of the committee do have questions, but they would like to hear your presentation first. Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Okay.
I can. That makes total sense, and it's good by me. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I just want to make sure that you guys can see the screen that says election voters, Hamilton and Wenham. And I just also want to make sure it's full screen for you guys as well.
It is.
Awesome. So we conducted this poll from May 30th to June 2nd. Prior to that, I had worked with Trent, David, and David and talked through the dynamics, what you guys were looking to learn, and how we best get to that goal. The sample on this poll was N300. I can tell you that 300 is a very good sample for the size of the school district and its associated voters. Just for context, your average poll for a congressional district, which is about 750,000 people, is usually about 400. So 300 for towns of this size is more than ample. The reason we've been ranked the #1 polling firm in the country, and I tell you this just for context of the poll, not to tell you about our polling firm, is we do something that we make sure something called effective sample size is correct. And the way that works is in your communities, there's a certain percentage of people who fall into each demographic quota group. And so we want to make sure our poll reflects the voters of Hamilton and Wenham as closely as possible. So before we conduct the poll, and I'm tossing out fake numbers here, we know that our poll needs to be 53% women. We know that X amount of people need to make a certain amount of money. We need to make sure that people fall certainly on the ideological political spectrum. That way we're representing truly the communities and not just the people who respond to the survey. So when I tell you we have a 300 sample, that doesn't mean 300 people responded to the poll. It was actually more like 500 or 600. We actually trimmed backwards to the correct 300 that best represented the community. Industry standard is about 75, 80%, and then polling firms weight that. We don't let anything leave our office unless it's 90% or above. And this poll met that qualification. I'm gonna skip to the very last slide, just for context, and then we'll hop into the results themselves. As I mentioned, 53% of this poll was female, because 53% of the voters in Hamilton and Wenham are female. 66% came from Hamilton, 34% came from 74% had a college degree, which reflects the town. This was the breakdown of voters by age, by income, ethnicity, and voting patterns. This is also the breakdown by partisan by registration. Obviously, this is not a political campaign. The goal was not to make it political or partisan by any nature. But in order to represent these towns, these are the percentages we would need to hit in order to be representative of Hamilton. So with that, I'm going to jump into our questions. And please let me know if you prefer to wait to the end or interrupt with questions as we go. First, we just wanted to get a feel for, are we talking to parents or people who just live in the community? And do those people feel differently than those who are not parents? So of our poll here, about a third, a little more than a third, I should say, were parents of kids in the Hamilton-Wenham school district, school system, and about close to 2/3 were not. We also wanted to just get a feel for, would you say that public education in the district is headed in the right direction or on the wrong track? We were able to learn that 46% of people felt things were going in the right direction. 29% say things are on the wrong track. I also just wanted to point out the difference between this dark blue and dark orange versus this light blue and light orange. We want to measure people's intensity of these feelings, and so we do that by saying definitely in the right direction, or mostly in the right direction, or definitely on the wrong track and mostly on the wrong track. School districts, city councils, bodies of organizations tend to have very what we call soft numbers, that people aren't particularly passionate in one area or another, but more sort of on this spectrum somewhere in between. The most notable thing for me on this poll was residents of Hamilton were 49-22, saying things were going in the right direction over a 2-to-1 ratio, while voters from Wenham were 40-44, underwater in that. So a very clear distinction between those folks. Also, our parent-aged adults, 30-54, had a much more positive outlook on how the district was doing compared to those on the younger and older side of the spectrum. I'd encourage you to keep in mind this 18-29% is a very small sample on this poll because it represents a very small sample of voters in the district. So each crosstab needs to be taken with a grain of salt depending on how big or large they are. So before we got to the plans themselves, we wanted to understand if people thought that the schools were in good condition or not. So we asked people, how would you rate the physical conditions of the elementary schools in the district? Just 4% said excellent, 24% said good, 27% said fair, 14% said poor, and 20% said very poor, with this 24% being unsure. Obviously, there's a whole bunch of folks who either never had kids in the system or haven't had kids in the system a long time, and we're less prepared to answer that question. But on the whole here, pretty consistent across the demographic spectrum. And the main takeaway here is about 21% say it's in this poor range, while closer to 80% say fair, good, or excellent. So then we wanted to ask folks how they felt about Plan C 3.4. This was the plan that was recommended by the MSBA. And so we started off by just giving a description of the plan itself. We tried to keep it as down the middle as possible that both proponents and opponents of the plan would be comfortable with. And we do that again throughout the poll, and I'll show you in a second. The initial reaction by people in the district is that they opposed the plan 53 to 30. Notably, both towns also were against the plan, Hamilton being 30 to 55, Wenham being 31-47. We also see across the age spectrum here that every age group was against the plan as well, particularly males and females as well, but just not to the same degree. I also point out the intensity of these feelings. 41% strongly opposed, where just 12% somewhat opposed, which brings us to 53%. And then on the support side, 12% strongly supported, while 19% somewhat supported. So we realize that folks probably can't possibly understand the complexity of these plans in 3 or 4 sentences. So we try to give people a little bit more information. And again, working with David and Trent, they presented us with what they felt was the most fair representation of the pro message and then the anti-message. So the pro message was, the urgent need for construction of a new Cutler Elementary School stems from population growth, which has strained existing facilities, leading to overcrowded classrooms and outdated infrastructure unable to meet modern standards. Safety concerns have also emerged as the building continues to age. Investing in a new school would address these immediate capacity issues while providing students with state-of-the-art, safe, and spacious learning environments essential for academic excellence. Such an investment is an essential step in enduring the community's future prosperity and the educational well-being of its children. With the state's current reimbursement rate at its highest ever, the towns have an opportunity to build a new consolidated school to serve their community for generations to come. I'm going to skip over how people felt about this just for a second, and I'll tell you why. And then I just want to present the opposition to the plan as well. The cost of constructing a new consolidated school exceeds $150 million, the largest capital project in town's recent history, which will result in an increased tax burden of all residents, which presents a long-term impact on the community's financial stability and affordability. Our town currently has 3 elementary schools, each of which serves a close-knit and intimate group of students, providing a warm and welcoming environment. This small town school environment would be destroyed by consolidating to a single large school for grades 1 to 5. Furthermore, there is a limited information about the possible impacts of larger populations at the elementary school level and how this may impact the social development and educational attainment of our students. There are other options which preserve our small schools and secure substantial state funding with a lower tax burden. So we asked people how they felt about each one of these statements and if it made them more likely or less likely to support the plan. The most important takeaway being our informed ballot. We presented the same question that we did up front. Now that you've heard both arguments, how do you feel? We don't see much movement. We do see some intensifying of the opposition. After learning on both sides, 28% said they supported the plan, 56% said they opposed. Again, both communities, Hamilton and Wenham, opposed the plan. And across the whole age spectrum, with the exception of 18 to 29-year-olds, also opposed the plan. This is just a chart representing how people moved after learning more information. This is typically something that's really important to campaigns and entities that I work with if they're trying to move the needle in a particular direction. Obviously, the goal here was just to get a read and not to push people one way or the other. This slide shows us the people who were initially undecided, how those people then moved after hearing both arguments. 7% of our initial undecideds moved to supporting the plan. 28% of people initially undecided opposed the plan, and then 61% of them stayed undecided. So the goal of the subcommittee was to also make sure if the support was not there for this plan, given the other plans accessible to you guys, are there other options that might have a chance to pass? And so we presented them with 2 more plans. The first one being C3-.1. This plan was the plan that student capacity for the new school would be 285 students. I'm sorry. The The following is the totally new construction of Cutler Elementary without consolidating the other schools into one. And then the description was, the student capacity for the new school would be 285 students. The estimated cost would be approximately $106 million. Approximately 47% of the cost would be reimbursed. Approximately $56 million would be covered by the towns. The plan would retain the 3-school elementary school system and generate the lowest increase to property taxes relative to the other 2 plans presented. During construction, this plan would not involve the displacement of students into temporary classrooms. This plan would leave Winthrop and Bucher in their current state. Of the 3 plans presented, this one had the largest degree of support. However, it was still underwater. 41% opposed, 37% supported the plan. And from my understanding, you guys need a 2/3 vote in order to pass any plan. So obviously it is off from that threshold. That being said, this is again based off the limited information they were presented. Most notably for me here was that Hamilton was in support of this plan, 42-33, while Wenham very much opposed, 28-54, almost a 2-to-1 ratio of voters from Wenham. Also, the difference between males and females here. Females supported the plan, males opposed the plan. And then from a age spectrum, again, those 30 to 54-year-olds were in support of the plan, and then the bookends of our age brackets did not. And then finally, the last plan, which is Plan C 2.1. The following is a plan to renovate the Cutler Elementary School in Hamilton Wenham. Do you support or oppose the plan? The plan includes an addition of 64,000 square feet of Cutler Elementary and a renovation of 19,000 square feet of existing facilities. Capacity would be 285. Estimated cost would be $116 million, 47% being reimbursed, leaving the towns on the hook for $62 million. This option would retain the 3-school elementary school system and would generate an intermediate increase to property taxes relative to the other options. The first one being the highest, the last one being the lowest, and this one was in the middle. During construction, this option would involve some displacement of students into temporary classrooms. This plan would leave Winthrop and Bucher in their current state. Our numbers here fell somewhere in between the 2 plans, closer to the original recommended plan. 45% opposing, 29% supporting, both towns rejecting the plan, and very similar dynamics all the way through. This is something called segmentation analysis. I think, I'll leave this to you guys to let me know if you want to walk through it. But the idea behind it is after we've presented people with 3 plans, we're sort of able to put them into buckets. And, we have the folks who lean towards 3.1, the folks who lean towards 3.4, and the people who are pro C 3.4. And we're able to break these down based on who these folks are. So the folks who were pro C 3.4 were a majority from Hamilton versus the 3.4, the lean 3.4 plan was more Wenham. And this is how they answered each and every single one of these questions. This is how they break down by gender, by age, by partisanship, by voting history, and by education level. Again, I left this in here because I think it's useful and interesting information that you guys conducted the poll and should see. But as far as informing your decisions and learning how people feel, I'm not going to dive into it. So that's reached the end here. I'd love to answer any questions about methodology, how we do what we do, how it works, and just general takeaways from having done hundreds and hundreds of these.
Thank you very much for that. So at this point, what we're going to do is I'm going to ask members of the committee if they have questions for you, and we'll do that in an organized kind of a way. So members of the committee, what I'm going to look for is that I'm going going to give everyone the opportunity to ask questions so that no one speaks twice before someone has spoken once. And what I'd be looking for at this point, we're not in a motion, we're not really debating, we're really getting clarity and questions. So that, because after this presentation, Mr. Lane is going to depart. And so you want to make sure that you have any information that you feel like you need to understand this information. All right, so let me know who has a question. Looks like Julia. I'm going to see, Chris, whether you can hear Julia, and if not, we'll repeat the question for you. Go ahead, Julia.
I think this was answered for us, but I didn't know if it was answered for the public. Is it true that the link, no more than one person could be sent the link, could use the link, and could answer via the link that was sent to the specific person that was chosen by the poll?
Yeah, the question is it true that only one person could answer the link they was sent? So if it was sent to someone else, they wouldn't be able to answer it?
Like they wouldn't be able to forward it to
They wouldn't be able to forward it to someone.
Yeah, so each and every single survey link that was sent out was one of one. So for example, if we had sent Trent a poll, the link that he got was different than every single other link that was out there. A couple of things to clarify. When we ask folks for demographic information, their age, their gender, their education level, what town they live in, things of that nature, we're actually not asking them to tell us the answer, we're asking them to confirm the answer. So if someone answers in a way that is inconsistent with what the voter file says about them, we throw it out. And the reason being is to protect the integrity of the poll. If someone tells us they're not who they say they are, then it's not representative of that person or of that quota that we're trying to fill. So also, if someone took that link and sent it to other people, we would know it in two ways. One, if more than one person ever submitted on the same link, we would know it and it would be removed. And then two, that person would have to accurately answer the correct demographic questions in order to represent that person. So there's two guards in place to keep that from happening.
Thank you.
I have a follow-up question.
Thank you. It looks like we have someone on the committee has a follow-up question to that.
Chris, I have a question about the links sort of expiring as well, or couldn't be used more than once. Is there a reason why there's no messaging saying something like this link has already been used or this link has expired in order to let users know that multiple responses won't be recorded?
So the question is there a reason why there was no messaging to say this link has expired or has already been used if somebody forwarded it?
Yeah, I would say that traditionally when we're doing polls, they're done in much larger communities, and the percentage of people even aware that there's a poll happening is very small. Obviously, when we get into much smaller communities, especially with very controversial things, people are going to become aware of it. But the overall point would be that one link for one person, and if it was ever forwarded, they would be allowed to fill it out, but it wouldn't go anywhere from there.
Thank you. All right, who else has, so excuse me for one moment, Chris, I'm just going to speak to the citizens who are present. As I explained very clearly at the beginning, it is the people sitting here at the table that are going to ask questions of the person that we've invited here. So we're not going to be taking questions from the audience. Do people on the committee have questions? Jen.
So you talked about there being, I think you said 700 to 800 responses, but you only kept 300. What was the total response rate? In other words, how many total surveys were sent out and how many total responses did we get, including the ones that weren't in the final analysis?
I'd have to go back and look how many total outbound messages we sent out. I'm happy to get that for you. And I don't have the total number of responses off the top of my head. I know it was in the 500 or 600 range. Okay. The reason only part of them are used is because if, for example, we sent out 100 surveys and 100 women responded, then we couldn't possibly represent 100 people based off of 100 women responding or 100 men responding. So once that quota is filled, then we consolidate and trim based on the number of people that actually fill each and every single one of those quotas. So I know going in that 22% of our poll needs to be 30 to 44-year-olds. I know that 30% need to be 65-year-olds. I know that 74% need to be college educated. So over time, through those trimming of those quotas, different ones get thrown out for different reasons. And then once each and every one of those quotas is satisfied, that's when we have a poll that's effectively representing the community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Who else has a question?
No problem.
David?
Chris, could you explain the significance of the margin of error? You know, what does that exactly mean?
Chris, could you hear the question? He's asking, his question is, could you please explain the significance of the margin of error?
Sure. The margin of error on this poll was 5.54%. It's just a standard formula for how many responses you get in relation to how big the community is. I would say most polls fall in this 4 to 6%, just due to mathematical randomness. It is accounted for in what we do, and we try to trim margin of error as much as possible. And that's why that effective sample size is so important. But a margin of error of this size for this community is well within standards, and in fact, quite good.
Thank you. Trent or David, do you have questions?
I don't have a question. I just have a piece of information, which
Sure.
is...
Can you speak right into the mic?
Sure, sorry. My mic is not very sensitive tonight. The cost of the overall poll actually came in under the estimate at $8,000 total, so I thought the committee should know that.
Thank you. I'm actually glad that you shared that. Unfortunately, I actually gave someone a higher estimate today. Someone asked me, and I will need to correct that information for them. So thank you.
So what did it come in at the end? 8,000 was it? Sorry, I didn't hear. Thank you.
Does anyone else have questions about the poll?
I have one more question.
Amy, go ahead. No, go ahead.
This is more housekeeping. Could we have a copy of the presentation that you showed tonight? It's different from what we have in our exhibit. It has more information.
So she's just asking if it would be possible for you to provide us a copy of the presentation that you gave this evening. I think it has a little bit more information than we had gotten earlier.
Absolutely. I was not totally sure about the rules regarding open meeting law, and I know that David, and Trent were extremely cognizant of that throughout. So I wanted to make sure that I presented this deck to the group all at once, and then I'll provide the deck thereafter.
Thank you. Does anyone? I have one quick question, so I'm just looking to see if anyone else has a question. So my question is really more from a 30,000-foot view. Can you hear me? It's sort of a bigger picture. I think I got. Oh, good. All right. I just from a 30,000-foot view, that the overall, it's accurate to say that none of the presented potential building options they were all underwater, as you stated, correct?
I'm sorry, you cut off after of all the three plans presented.
That they were all underwater, that none of the options were currently supported. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you.
I will say, just for context, typically when I'm conducting these polls, it's a group that is either trying to get the plan done or trying to oppose it. And so much of the messaging in it is to help do that. We tried our hardest to go down the middle here. It's not to say that if someone ran a campaign one way or the other that these numbers wouldn't change, because they most certainly would, based off of the resources of campaigns like that. But without having done that and just getting a pulse of where people currently stand, this is a really good reflection of that.
Thank you. Okay. Anybody else have anything? I'm looking to the committee just to make everyone aware that, so I feel like I really understand this data. I know it was presented clearly. I feel ready, but we are going to let Chris go. So I just want to make sure that everyone doesn't, no one has a question that didn't get answered. You all feel like you have the information you need. Okay. All right, we ready for me to, all right. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, guys. Good luck with everything, and let me know if there's any additional follow-up questions. And I will also find out the answer of the total number of outbound messages that went out that I didn't have the answer for earlier.
Thank you. Okay.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Thank you. All right, thank you all. So we have, next on the agenda is our technology plan presentation. We have Alan Topier, who has been very patient, waiting a long time. And we appreciate that, Alan, thank you. And he's going to give us a presentation so that we can be better informed on that. He is a tech guy, exactly.
This is a job interview.
I can call our tech support.
Alan, do you want to move so that so we can all see you? If you could turn the podium a little. Thank you so much.
There you go. All right. Okay, thank you very much for having me. In your package, you'll find there should be a technology plan that has been prepared for tonight. It's basically an overview of the projects that we're thinking of as a large undertaking over the next 4 or 5 years that are going to be important to the district. So I'd like to just briefly go over what that is. You've seen this slide before. That I use this in our technology budget presentation. Just to go over what we are. The IT technology plan is designed to support the district's vision, preparing for a well-rounded graduate who will engage in the future with creativity and confidence. The IT role in this is one to provide business service continuity. This is like backup and security, technical assistance, which is help desk and project planning, and back office services, which are making our network run, providing access to information. We support a district integration of technology and teaching and learning and business operations, and invest in proven technologies, offering stable, resilient, cost-effective and equipment and services. So we're not bleeding edge, we're not leading edge, it works, let's keep it going well. The technology plan is going to touch on these subjects, but these subjects are also going to give you an overview where we are. We currently have infrastructure for 5 buildings, approximately 2,300 wireless devices connect to our network every week, every night, every day. So we're like a medium-sized New England business in that sense. We have 182 access points and 13 network closets. Half of them are located at the elementary schools. That's going to become important later on because it's supported by the Hamilton-Wyndham institutional network, which is a 1 gigabyte fiber connection. We have a modest number of servers that provide us with access control lists and manage how we communicate with other services like Google and Microsoft, and we use those to leverage other things like software as a service, Lexia, different platforms that we use to teach in the classroom that require rostering and access for the students. We leverage that back office, those servers to provide that information, and we then leverage it with aggregators like Clever. Clever is a jump-off point for people. We have a fleet of about 2,300 devices that include Macs, PCs, iPads, Chromebooks. We have all our smart classrooms have smart boards. We are in the process of replacing the vast majority of them, or we already have done about 2/3 of them, with interactive TVs. That also, classrooms also have smart boards, voice amplification systems, and we also support the copiers and printers. We have a phone system we put in when I first arrived, and been building it out for the last couple of years. It is fully operational, but we're going to come back to that because there's some issues that we need to address in the long term. And by the end of this technology plan, some aspects of that will be quite old. But we have approximately 320 telephones and 200 virtual lines, and we also have fully unified email and voicemail services. So the first goal is to enhance our network. One of the things we have to keep up with all the time is trying to find the affordable, high-speed internet access. Right now, we basically have what is the same as like 2 households combined. That's what we have for the whole district, because that's what's available on our street outside, and that costs us like $12,000, $13,000 a year. To go to a more robust one, it's going to be like maybe twice as much money as that, maybe 3 times as much money as that. But there's some caveats around that. That is that they predict, I say they, the powers to be at the FCC and E-rate, others, that you will double your consumption of data from the internet over 5 years. So we have followed that pattern almost exactly. In 2014, we were consuming about 6 terabytes of data every month. Now, in 2019, we're consuming about 12 terabytes of data. Last week, we consumed 5.5 terabytes of data in 1 week. So we're about over 20 terabytes a month. This starts to push us to the end of our infrastructure's ability to maintain, manage a robust access to internet and materials. So it starts to play a role in how we think about what we have to do next. Our wide area network, which is provided to us by the HWCAM and the town of Hamilton and Wyndham's franchise agreement with Comcast and Verizon. That's a 1 megabit network, which just meets our needs when it comes to what the current recommendations are for per student bit rates. If you want to get technical about things, it's 1 bit. It's 1 megabit per student, and we're just underneath that because we have that. But they're projecting that in the future that we should plan for between 3.5 and 5 megabits a second. All right, so that's really a lot of fun, right? So if you do the math on that and start doing what is a megabit and 1024 and the division, in about 5 years, we're going to need about 3.3 gigabits of data to the elementary schools, and the current infrastructure that is the institutional network will not support that, right? We will have to find some other way of doing that. So either running fiber or coming up with some bonding adventures with Bill, talk to Bill just briefly about it. It's a consideration that we have to consider. For our expanding our network wireless, we have currently 182 wireless access points. All but 6 of those are inside. The rest of them are outside around the high school. But that is not one-to-one. There's not one access point for every one classroom. And I think when we started this the wireless project, in 2012, we were just trying to get wireless into the area. Now, when we have, particularly at the high school and middle school, you go into a classroom, you have 20 students, 25 students, someplace in that range, each carrying a phone, each carrying another device. The teacher has 2 or 3 devices, and we already started talking about the smart board and other devices in the room. It starts to become, the density of devices to access points become too large, and it starts to slow down the network. So we are planning, we're actually engaging in that now, is to create that one-to-one relationship. This is not like your house. Your house, unless your house is made of concrete block, schools are not the same, and the penetration ability of the 5 megahertz wireless access point does not have the same as it does in your home. Like, you probably have 1 and cover most people's home, maybe 2, but to have, in our rooms, it really doesn't travel much further than just beyond the other side of the wall. So we need more of those. Then we have to start planning for the next iteration of Wi-Fi. So our current Wi-Fi access points are Wi-Fi 6 access points. Wi-Fi 6 was certified in 2019. We started putting these up in 2023. In 2029, the new Wi-Fi standard will be Wi-Fi 8, and we should be working to get to replace all our access points and our controllers for Wi-Fi 8. It's, it's several $100,000 when it comes down to it. But we do find that when the devices and the Wi-Fi access points are in the same frequency ranges, if you will, with technology, they work better. E911 and phone system. So my first day here, I came in, I went into the superintendent's office, and I said to the secretary, "Hi, I'm Alan Topier. I'm the IT director," and she said, "Oh, good, you're here. The phone system's down, the internet's down, the email system's down, and the Burgeson's down." I said, "Oh, okay, great." But we had a mishmash of phone system across the district. Every building had a different phone system. So we began replacing those, and over the course of about 5 years, 6 years, we got to replace them all into one big phone system. So I mentioned earlier that we have like 320 hardline telephones all across the district. But we're restricted to what that is. Soon that system will become old and start to become fragile. But more importantly, we're not E911 compliant. And we'd like to be. But to retrofit our current system to do that, it's like a $30,000, $40,000 ask just to make the retrofit, and then another $29,000 a year after that to be compliant. So it behooves us to think of an alternative and consider our future with that hardware and say, okay, maybe we need to go to a cloud-based system where E911 is built in, and maybe we can get some leverage out of that to meet those needs across the district. There are some problems with that because our network infrastructure is only 1 megabit, and we're going to have some issues when it starts to add more devices to that network. During the pandemic, the pandemic defined how we distributed devices today. We didn't come back from the pandemic and say, okay, let's figure out what the best device is for this grade level or for this school or for this curriculum. We said, we have these devices. We need to get as many devices in as many students' hands as we can. What do you think is going to be the best way? And we hashed out a distribution. That doesn't necessarily meet all the needs we need to have. So we need to consider what those device levels should be, where they should be, and what kind of device they are. The right size, the funding for those devices, and our life cycle plan. So we just got to think about that. We got to engage teachers. We got to engage the curriculum coordinators and say, hey, what works best in these different scenarios, and come up with a plan that says, okay, this is the right device for this grade group. This is how we're going to support it. This is the curriculum that it's going to support, and this is the educational learning we're going to support with that. Then we have to right size the funding around that and make sure we fully fund our lifestyle program, device life cycle management. Digital equity, we need to also consider our digital equity. My notes are off the page here. So there's a digital equity part that we should be considering. Right now, we give students a device in high school, but at the time they're in the high school, they're not really using that device, they've purchased their own device. That's not always equitable. We also have some equitability problems with what home internet could be for certain students. We also have to integrate digital literacy, and in the classroom, there's a whole piece of curriculum that we're not appropriately or even beginning to approach when it comes to digital equity, digital citizenship, and training teachers for that. Our student information system. Our student information system was, we already had a contract when I arrived in 2012. We installed and implemented that in March of 2013. That system has been in place for a long time. It has substantially not changed. It's pretty much the same interface, same components, and it seems to be antiquated when we look at other systems. So we need to evaluate what the other systems offer. Will we be able to utilize them? We have to figure out who our core constituents are around that, and have them do a focus group and trial these things and see what they look like. Part of that is also student information privacy. I said earlier on that we are using Google and Microsoft to leverage with our software as a service providers like Lexia and Google, Clever, and maybe 30 or 40 of different systems. But our digital privacy we should be considering what that looks like. But there's a movement to make sure we do that. So there's the Student Data Privacy Consortium has a registration tool that says that these people will comply with this, and that we can utilize that, and that we won't connect to them without them being in this registry. So the things we should be engaging in to make sure our student data is private and secure, and not shared with the wrong people. And that also requires us to teach and educate our staff on how and what that looks like. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you for that, and thank you for the detailed plan that we have on the agenda. Questions? Okay, let's do questions first. Anyone have a clarifying question? David?
Maybe one question. You mentioned that it's the multiplication of number of devices is driving the increase in data traffic. Is there any other pattern of usage, like common video or common common objects that take a lot of memory that are being drawn from externally and that could be jamming up the system?
We're not being. So I don't mean to say that we're planning in the future. So I don't think we're really struggling majorly with what our data throughput is. There are issues that are always happening around that, and video consumes a lot of our data, but really updates consume a lot too, because all the systems are updating at night, and there seems to be a nonstop flow of updates. There are two things there. One is the number of devices in relationship to an access point. We have an access point in the ceiling here. That access point can manage 45 to 60 devices easily, right? But once you start to grow beyond that, the access control list that goes with it becomes longer and longer, and it gives them like 3 milliseconds to get through each one of those. But once you get to 120 and 140 devices, you'll see this in theaters and stuff, that all of a sudden it slows to a grind, because if that device doesn't respond, it gives an extra 10 milliseconds, and all of a sudden they're all getting 10 milliseconds, and then suddenly it seems to come to a complete stop. So the access point in the space requires so much data, so much. We should be thoughtful about how many devices we're going to be connecting to that. At the firewall, when we have throughput, there is a steady stream of data always going out. We share our data, like our current student information systems, in the cloud. So every time you connect to it, you're actually going across our firewall, and data is moving. Our current CRM is in the cloud. So every time we do a calculation, download a spreadsheet, it pulls that down. We throttle at certain types of activity, and if you connect to our guest network, it's throttled heavily so that people can't take advantage of it. And we manage the protocols about how we layer that information, so certain things get higher priority than other things. So we're going to satisfy those things first before we push out the last thing, which might be video. So you have to be thoughtful about this. There's lots of layers about how you think about it. But it's not that we're having serious issues, but eventually we will, because what's called our collision rate will rise, and then when our collision rate rises, the network starts to slow down to try to compensate for that, and then we start to have problems.
Thank you.
Thank you. Amy, did you have a question?
Oh,
I just have a comment. I just wanted to appreciate that there's an initiative to bring teachers in and talk about what our students need, what's appropriate for them in regards to digital literacy and digital citizenship, because that's sort of like a new thing that, you know, is really, really important, but kind of gets overlooked when we think about curriculum. So I really appreciate that. I think that's great.
I just had a quick question.
Oh.
Are we in danger of maybe not being in compliance with certain laws? I don't know, like ADA compliance, or if there's any sort of policies that we might be in danger of, like we might be right on the line of, or
Around
is that
technology?
not a concern? Yeah.
E911 is a law.
Okay.
We're supposed to be compliant with that. We're not.
Okay,
Right.
that's what I'm talking about. So that's one.
Yeah.
Are there anything else?
If I work hard at it, I can think of a number of things that I
Okay.
wouldn't, but I'm not going to do that right now, because
Okay.
not all of them are technology problems, and I think I focus on that a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe too much, but I do.
Okay, thank you. So it sounds pretty urgent. I appreciate the timeline that you gave us in the exhibit, and it's pretty detailed, so thank you.
Eric, did you have something?
No, I just wanted to really say thank you to Alan. This is new for us. We've not had a technology plan, I think, in the time since he and I have been here, right? We had one maybe when we first
Started
got
off
here.
with one, yeah.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden you go through the pandemic and everything goes, whoosh, devices were just going out. So we were able to kind of reel some of that in. And Alan and his team has really worked hard to include people in these conversations. The Smart Board conversation is the best example, where he set up focus groups. He brought in tests of various vendors to have our teachers work them and try them out, see what made sense. So I think, I appreciate the time that he's willing to take, which is, we're always kind of go. And I think Alan and his team has really taken time to make sure that we're making the best decisions that we can within our classroom. And it's not always the most expensive. It's really, he's really looking across the spectrum of users and interface and how those things connect with our, curricula and some of the things that we're doing in our classrooms. So thank you for that, Alan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All set?
Very much appreciated.
Thank
All
you.
right. And again, thank you for your patience this evening. I think, yeah,
on
I
the
think
Apple TV.
probably we're going to need to, yeah.
Thank you for coming, Alan.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alan.
Good night. Okay. There it is.
Can't see it. 6973.
All right, so next up, we have two goals-related items. One is a report on the 23-24 goals, and we'll start with that.
Thank you. This is what we've done each year in June is kind of do a follow-up report with the leadership team, circling back and reviewing the goals that we planned starting last May, actually, over a year ago, and worked through the summer to hone it down. And this is really the report on the results, and pretty straightforward. There's a lot of information in here, and I just wanted to give people some opportunity to review it, digest it, and then maybe do questions next meeting, only because there's quite a bit of information in this to go through. In the big scheme of things, we're on our first goal. We won't meet that until the end of June, because we still have one more school committee meeting to do the last piece of it, the branding piece. So that would be added in once we are done. The MTSS goal, as you know, has been ongoing for multiple years, and we hope to continue it into the future. As you can see from the information here, we're starting to see some real success in our intervention programs, including adding all the intervention programs all the way up through 9th and 10th grade within the district. And then, pass the Miles River here. Diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. We started last year shifting this into more integrating into things rather than having a lone kind of standalone goal. We want to continue to do that in the future, and we'll talk about that in a minute in the next segment. These are just some of the things we worked on through the year. Trying to just change even the committee and how the committee functions within the district has been what we're seeing a shift. Our focus this year, as you know, was really on belonging. We wanted to focus there and continue to focus there. From now into the future, we'll continue to hold that. More than likely, you'll see that on a lot of the school improvement plans for years to come as we continue to work, make sure that all of our kids feel like they belong in our schools. And then the long-range planning piece, we had a presentation earlier in the year about this with the capital plan, the long-term capital plan, and the capital finance subcommittee that will start that new process. We will start that in the fall, with the new process that was discussed and agreed upon. This just is really a quick outline, and then a little bit of a follow-up at the end for some conclusions. I can answer questions now, or really, if people want to take some time to dig through it, and then maybe next meeting, we can set up Q&A.
Well, let's see if anyone has any just immediate questions now or comments. We can do that, and then if you want, we can do that in more detailed later. Oh, looks like there's appetite for that. I may have detailed questions. I just wanted to say I really did appreciate the detail specifically on the MTSS goal. I was really very appreciative of the level of detail and specificity on that. I thought it was helpful.
We really tried to build upon the foundation that we set a couple years back, and now we're really honing in on what makes sense, along with trying to align with what the state is requiring. I mean, the state now is requiring us to assess our kindergarten kids for, within the first 3 months of school. We're doing an assessment on kindergarten kids, really based on digging into dyslexia to see if we can identify dyslexia earlier. The state has also moved to kind of hone in with school districts on research-supported assessment systems that are not going to eat up a lot of time, but that are going to give us the best bang for our buck. So we work with the state on a number of different committees, both for our assessments, but also for our curriculum and curriculum review team. So all of those things kind of come together in ways that we will support kids, both in and out of the classroom. And a lot of the evolution now is moving into how do we better support our kids in the Tier 2 and Tier 3 segments, where Tier 2 kids need a little bit more support, and Tier 3 need a lot more support, and how do we now attack that as a district and shift those numbers, which we're starting to see a shift in the data across, especially the elementary. The middle school's new this year with a lot of their data, so they really only have 1 year, but elementary has multiple years, and we're seeing some really nice movement in the growth of kids' skills.
Thank you. And always, as always, you can do it in a meeting, but you also can take the opportunity to, take a meeting with Eric, or write him an email to get your questions answered on that if you have them.
And I can also reach out to others. They're literally the entire leadership team has a piece. Everybody has a hand in this because we all take a piece of it. Both the principals at their own schools, but also Jen Clifford, the director of teaching and learning. Even Vinny, when it comes into, all right, how do we pay for this? What types of budgetary decisions do we need to make? So there's a lot of people involved, and if people want to email me questions, I can get them to individual people as well.
All right, thank you. Next up is the district goals discussion, which I know you've introduced already in previous meetings, and so I'll put it back to you, Eric.
Thank you. So similar to last year, we're targeting several goals that we've set all along that we would like to have as multi-year goals. The MTSS is really our premier focus, and really trying to bring the best we can for our kids using the structures both within the classroom, outside the classroom, and developed within up-to-date curricula that really better meets the needs of kids and teachers in the way kids teach and learn. So the goals here are suggestions from committee members and leadership team members. The only thing, as I stated here, I think it's actually 1 and 3. I think it said 1 and 2, but the first goal, MTSS, I'd like to keep that if people agree to keep going with that. We really have a lot invested in that. The third one is adoption of the DESE teacher rubric. This is really a big shift for teachers next year. The way our contract reads is the whatever the Department of Education teacher rubric is, that's what we use for our evaluation system. They literally made some really big shifts in this rubric for next year. When you're looking at measure of teachers, there's a lot of changes in instruction and identifying ways to help teachers to improve instruction, and the culturally responsive teacher vein is really threaded throughout the whole rubric, whereas it was really one tiny piece of the current rubric, and now it's threaded across, similar to what we're doing with our DEIB stuff, threading it across everything. Engaging instruction is also a big piece of this new rubric. Like, how are you engaging the different learners in your classroom? And that includes kids who may be on IEPs, or kids on 504s, or kids that may need just a specific service, like somebody who might be hearing impaired or something like that. So there's a lot more focus on the shifts that we're seeing within our student populations, including the culturally responsive teaching, which is really knowing and identifying your kids and helping them to see themselves in your classroom each day, so they become, it also helps to plug in that whole belonging piece that we continue to work on. And Department of Education is making a push to shift high expectations into a more premier place in the teacher rubric, where it was just one indicator, like high expectations for all students. Okay, now they've really been very specific about what high expectations would be and what we'd look for in a classroom. So the rubric has shifted dramatically. I think it's going to take 2 years to get 2 school years, because we have people on different cycles. So we have all of our new teachers that are in the first, second, or third year are on a 1-year plan, and our veteran teachers who are 4 years and beyond, they're on a multi-year plan. So some of them are on the first year of 2, and some of them are on the second year of 2. So we really have to kind of get everybody out of the old cycle. So if you're in 2 next year, you'd finish that off, and then the following year you would shift into the new system. Whereas if you're a first-year teacher, you're going to jump right into the new rubric in the fall. So those are the only ones I would say let's hang on to as goals. And again, I think focus on 4, maybe 5 goals for the district, and then everybody will build their school improvement plans off of these goals, as we did last year. The goals, we've tried to align them with the strategic plan. As we know, we're in the second year of strategic plan next year, and it's really nice to try to keep those connections along the way of what we laid out and what we want to do. So just wanted to open it up and just get some feedback on what people feel like should be prioritized and not, and then I can hone the list down and bring it back around as we had planned, either next meeting or through the workshops that we're going to do, like we did last year, where we had the workshops and really dug into the goals and came up with some of the action steps and the deliverables, so that by the time we start school and on that first school committee meeting in August, we would approve the goals to go for that school year, and then each of the principals would develop their school improvement plans off of those goals.
Okay, thank you. So again, you're looking for feedback and input. This isn't a vote. We're looking for feedback and input. So what I might just do, as we do oftentimes, is that, maybe each person gets an opportunity to give some feedback, and then no one speaks twice before everyone's gotten a chance to speak once. Julia, it looks like you have something to say.
Yes, I was wondering when we would be finalizing these, I was at the retreat or later this summer.
Yeah,
But
the
this
idea
is the
is-
very first, like, skeleton
Yep.
draft of it.
Yep.
And the second thing, and I know I say this all the time with the goals, is that a lot of these are not, they're not goals.
Correct.
Yeah, but they're just sort of maybe topics that we might want to incorporate into an overarching goal.
And that's the idea, to kind of leave them vague and let the
Okay.
committee and the leadership team develop the goal.
Yes.
The action steps and the deliverables, so that when you're done, I forget when the school committee retreat is, whenever we're finished
August.
that day.
August, yeah.
We'll clean up that final document and bring it to
Yes.
the next school committee meeting
Right,
in
it's usually at
August.
maybe the first school committee meeting or?
Yeah,
first
the
school.
one in August that we start
In
the school
August,
year,
okay.
we'll have those kind of finished, if you will, goals.
Okay.
Can I ask a
Jen?
question?
Yep.
It's under facilities, the SOI submissions.
Yep.
Will the high school roof and the solar power plan be combined, or will those planning on being two separate projects?
It's a good question. The solar piece of it, the roof repair would fall under the MSBA program.
Yeah, I didn't know if the
Not
solar
the
panels
solar
would-
repair, that would come on us. As you know, if you remember, those of you who were here 2 years ago, we signed just a memorandum of understanding that we were interested in actually adding solar to the middle school parking lot, so that we could cover the parking lot, but also regain, I think, 80% of electricity that we use in that middle school building. As part of that process, it would cost the district no money, and we would get a extremely reduced rate in electricity costs, based on the vendor. We haven't signed any agreements. We just said we were interested, and let us know. And it literally takes years for these projects now, because there's the pipeline through National Grid is fairly restricted, because they're basically, if you're pumping energy into their system, they're losing money. So we have made one inroad. We did get one of our car chargers at the high school, middle school. That was right around the same time a couple of years ago. We said we were interested in doing it. We agreed to move forward with that, I think last year, and that was finally installed. We're waiting on the one in this parking lot, the Bucher's parking lot, because of issues with National Grid, and really just trying to get through that process. It takes a long time to get through the process, and by the time you get through the process, you're also looking at shifts in the technologies that are now available at that time. So good and bad, but it's an always moving target for us.
Thank you.
And the roof, if you remember, we submitted the roof SOI back in April again.
Yeah, I
We'll
knew
find out
we
in the
had
fall.
talked about the solar panels and we talked about the SOI, but I didn't know if we had talked about them as a combined thing or if they were separate.
Yeah, they would definitely be separate. With anything you do with solar, the state, unless it's a state subsidized solar program, the MSBA is not into adding solar to anything. Generally, that's been, even if we were to build a new elementary school, no matter what we chose, or even renovate, any solar addition would be on our dime. It would not be reimbursable. So those are things to think about as you kind of go through that process of
Are there any
determining.
federal grants we could use that you know?
Possible. It's possible. There's a lot of money moving right now because of between ARPA and ESSER funding.
Yeah.
That's all shifting. State of Massachusetts requested an extension for use of ESSER funds. We actually used ours up purposefully so we didn't get caught in the hole that a number of school systems are right now. Like, okay, now what do? We don't have the money. So we would look at other options. Same with there's one on here for e-buses. There are a number of
I saw
federal
that.
opportunities out there. Qualification is very difficult for us. That tends to be our problem.
Is it regional?
You know, we're going up against larger urban districts that are qualifying for grants fairly quickly. Although I did just recently hear that I think Ipswich qualified for some funding on some e-buses. We don't own our buses.
Beverly did too.
What was it?
Yeah, Beverly's got some.
Beverly, yeah.
Yeah.
And that we don't own our buses. We actually contract out, so we would probably lean towards building something into the next contract, because it's not something you can do overnight. Like, I don't think you can suddenly bring in $14 million buses and figure out a place to park them and then charge them and things like that. they'll have to have specific charging stations. So there's a lot of work to that, but it's doable. It's just a matter of sustainability over time for the technologies that are currently available. A lot of districts are adding into their bus contracts the expectation for X number of electric vehicles.
Okay, other people with input?
I have a second thing, if
Oh,
everyone's
well,
already spoken.
I'm going to go unless.
Yep.
So this is actually maybe similar to what Julia said initially, which is that what I did when I took this list and I sort of went through it about what things I really thought I wanted to see as goals. Some of them, like, to me, I'll just say, to me, the potential for developing a budget for solar power is not a negative, but I wouldn't see that for me as necessarily a priority for a goal, as an example. So the things I saw as priority is definitely the MTSS. I'm glad you explained the DESI rubric more in detail, because it sounds like that really is required and needs to be a goal. While school start times itself is not necessarily, I think, I guess that's something I would like to put forward as, school start time in itself is not a goal. There needs to be a clearer goal on that. But I mean, doing the work to create all those things, and I see that you have sort of the two things. I sort of see this as a real thorough look at effective learning time, and that would, to me, incorporate both the start times as well as looking at the Wednesday times. So that's what I would put at this. Some of these other things I think are good ideas. Some of them I think are not necessarily where I would put my priorities. So I don't know if other people, that's.
Can I say one thing about school start?
Sure.
School start times, we added on there because there was a discussion back, I think back in January or February, where we wanted to kind of launch that. So that'd be good to add in there. But on a side note, both middle school kids and high school kids have reached out to me in the last week because they are doing their civics action projects on school start time. So
Yes,
we might have,
we
might have
those emails.
we might have a built-in committee.
We heard-
So
we heard from
they're
some of
very
them.
interested in it.
You only mentioned the high school roof. Is it the middle school roof considered to be in okay shape?
Better shape. The high school roof really goes back 28 or 29 years in some spots of it. And we just continually patch holes all year. You're chasing holes all year long. We just did a new patch round over the last few weeks, and it's just not stop.
And the middle school roof, how old is that?
It was when it was built,
95.
98. So
1998.
yeah. So you would end up probably hitting that one next year to start in the process.
Mm-hmm.
So
Got it. Thank you.
it changes every year too. I think that's the important thing to note. If 50 school districts submit an SOI for a roof replacement and some funding, it's going to take, they're going to look at kind of the average number of years old that these roofs are and draw a line and say, okay, everything, I think the last one was 28 and we were 26 or something. It changes with all the submissions annually. So that's why they make us wait till the fall. They go through how many school districts are looking for money and then what the kind of average age is, and they draw a cutoff line. We haven't hit it. We've been applying for several years, but we're getting closer.
Roof is getting older.
Yeah, it's a wreck.
Okay, anybody else?
Oh, I have one thing, sorry. Two quick
Julia
things. And one, I did not,
definitely read the goals.
I didn't send this to you, and I apologize, I didn't send you ahead of time, and I'm going to figure out how to word it, but I'm thinking there needs to be a goal around communication. We had a goal, I think, at some point about increasing or improving or making a more robust communications plan. It's not really, I don't think it's part of the communications and branding plan that we already have as a goal, but maybe it could be a continuing goal, but I'll think about how I want to word that.
Okay.
And the second piece is, I know you said that the DEIB goals are now going to be baked into the other goals. So I just want us to really be cognizant that if we take commit to DEIB principles off as a goal, that we do need to make sure in all of our other objectives that we are looking at it through that lens with that goal. Because that's a fairly new goal for us. So I just don't want it to kind of fall off the table. But I understand that having it as a goal, like commit, how do you measure necessarily? Like what are what are the deliverables that we're measuring against? But I didn't really want to take it off the table completely, but
Yeah.
we can talk about
One of the things we
that
noticed,
as a committee later.
one of the things we noticed through the years, the goal itself started showing up everywhere. Like when
Yeah, I
you
think
went
it's
back
baked
to the
into a lot
equity
of
audit and you're using that, the goal started showing up everywhere. So we were looking at it from more of a perspective. Okay, let's look at it in the classroom. Let's look at it outside the classroom. Let's look at it in our lunch program. It
So
started
not
to hit.
siloed.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
agree with
So
that. I agree with that.
it's really kind of spread out. You're seeing that with the state now with the culturally responsive
Yeah.
classroom shift into the literally across the rubric now, rather than one. There was one indicator I think that was specific to that.
Okay, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Are we ready to move on? Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Oh, yep, go ahead.
Can people email me what your thoughts are so that I can hone in on this list?
Yes. Yep.
So that we can continue this process from now through our retreats. And I'll have leadership team take a shot at it on their, we have Tuesday meeting coming up. We'll take another shot at it and go from there.
All right. You don't want this cryptic scribbled piece
Yeah,
of
I'll
paper?
take it. Yeah, if it works, I'll take it. Gotta bring it back to the team.
Eric, do you want questions and put them in order of priority maybe?
Sure. If you could prioritize them, that'd be great. That would be perfect to bring back to the team. If you have specific questions, send them. We can answer them and get them back to even the next meeting. It'll just help us to determine the action steps and the deliverables. So.
Okay. All right, next up is a really important role that the school committee has, which is the annual superintendent evaluation. I'm going to turn this over to you, David. David Polito volunteered to do the composite work. And take it away, David.
Sure. Yeah, I volunteered to do this because I've been doing it the past few years, and I'm always like, well, I've already done it, so it should be easy for me to do again. And then whenever I start doing it, I'm like, why do I keep volunteering to do this? But, we went through everything, excuse me, and, just to go over how I compile things, the same thing I've been doing for years at this point. Essentially, I just assign a number from 1 through 5 or 1 through 4, respectively, stick it into a spreadsheet and find out the average for each of the assessments, and then I just round up or down accordingly to come up with the composite numbers. For the comments, I just try to summarize and then pull a few examples out from different individual reports, and that's how I came up to this. So just to sort of start at the top, excuse me, this is our first draft, so we're going through to just sort of agree the draft that I sent over has everything as written in at the very last page is the just sort of the PDF of the spreadsheet that I had made just to see where everything had come from, and then this is the time that we can discuss, although I should probably open my other version, that we can discuss anything that we might want to change. So just diving right into it. So the 2023-24 assessment of Eric Tracy. Step 1, assess progress towards goals. Professional practice goals, he has met. Student learning goals, he has met. And district improvement goals, he has met. Step 2, assess performance on standards. Right, Standard 1, instructional leadership. Eric has been found proficient. Standard 2, management and operations, again, proficient. Standard 3, family and community engagement, proficient. And Standard 4, professional culture, proficient. Overall summative performance, step 3, is proficient. Step 4, excuse me, comments. Superintendent Tracy has exhibited a proficient performance in the evaluation conducted by 7 school committee members. Noticeable focus His notable focus on communication initiatives, including the development of a comprehensive communications plan and active engagement with the community, has been widely praised throughout his evaluations. Despite facing a challenging year with significant project responsibilities, Mr. Tracy has effectively managed district obligations, leveraging local knowledge to enhance community interactions. The majority of evaluators commend his transparency, dedication to professional growth, citing his completion of the superintendent induction program and commitment to fostering a positive school-community relationship, and reflects his dedication and efforts in advancing the district's goals and maintain open communication channels with stakeholders. This reminds me, I forgot to bring up that this year I did try and actually put everything through a chatbot to bring objective summaries through. So that is why the language is stated the way it is. So as I'm reading it, I'm like, oh yeah, that's probably an important thing to bring up. So again, we are here. This is a draft to change anything that you do not agree with. One of the quotes is, Superintendent Tracy has made valuable efforts in enhancing communication channels with the community, especially regarding the ongoing building projects. His dedication to field questions, engage in conversations, and participate in community events reflects his commitment to transparency and community engagement. Another quote is, it is evident that Superintendent Tracy has diligently worked on district and professional goals despite facing a challenging year with increased responsibility. His proactive approach to leveraging local knowledge for community interactions and completing the superintendent induction program highlights his dedication to professional growth. A critique from one committee member which not align with the majority opinions noted, while Superintendent Tracy has shown improvement in communication strategies, there's still room for enhancing transparency and clarity in certain answers. More efforts could be directed towards a streamlined communication process to ensure all stakeholders are well-informed and engaged. Should I just continue on?
Well, that was, I was going to ask it. Maybe we'll ask the committee whether they want to do this in pieces and comment after, or what are people's feelings? Do we want to, in other words, that we could comment at the end of each section, or we can wait till the end?
This is just me speaking as somebody who has to do course evaluations. I think when you're giving a negative evaluation, and everybody who teaches or works in an area where they're evaluated gets negative evaluations at some point in time. But one thing I ask my students in particular, like, you don't have to like me, but if you didn't like me, at least give me very specific examples of what I can fix. So just going forward, I think it would be nice if both with positive, which I'm seeing a lot of specific examples, but also negative examples, that we give him more specific feedback, because I think giving very generalized negative or positive feedback, particularly negative, is not as useful as giving specific examples where there's a problem.
I'll take a little bit of the blame for this, right? So one thing that isn't in this...
And I know I'm not seeing the whole thing.
Right, is the fact that when the final version, everybody's individual reports will be in there. I had thought about putting it into this draft, but we hadn't in years past. And so that might answer that question.
It's just something to keep in mind. I know when I'm getting evaluations from students, like, specific issues are a lot more useful to me than generalized statements.
Totally agree.
Okay.
But I know Superintendent Tracy will get all of the evaluations in their entirety.
Correct.
Oh, that's good. I wasn't aware of that. That's good.
So it looks like maybe so is that, I'm not quite sure whether that was just meant to be for the whole, like, or whether you're addressing something specifically here.
Like,
okay.
In terms of, like, doing evaluation.
Okay. All right. Does anyone, I guess we'll just ask, does anyone have any specific comments on what's been addressed so far, specifically? All right. Well, I'll offer mine, which is the final line here. while Superintendent Tracy has shown some improvement, there's still room for enhancing transparency. While I would say that that is generally true for any human being, there's always room for enhancing. I mean, that's true. I guess that didn't feel, I'm okay with it because I think it's clear that not every committee member said that, but that doesn't represent my, I guess I'm just saying, me personally, I feel that Superintendent Tracy shows an area of strength in communication and transparency, so.
I don't know what else he could do.
There's no human being that couldn't
that's what I
be,
was thinking.
better at some of those things, but, anyway, it's just a comment I had.
Yeah, no.
Does anyone else have a comment on this page?
Not particularly this, but I'm with Jen on this. There's total specificity if you're going to make a negative remark, so that there's something that you can react to.
Okay. I will say, if you're going to move on.
Yeah, as I was going to say, like, I
You know, I have to read through the
don't know how to make that more specific.
Right, well, especially when you're using just a quote from someone, so.
Yeah,
It would need, so, can I just say, when we do get to the next page, I want to take responsibility for a typo. It was in the document that I sent you, and I did correct it, but you used the old one.
Oh, knows which one I
So
pulled
there's a
this from.
typo on the next page. It's going to be repeated in every one, this District Goal 1. It's actually the complete the district communications plan, and that was a typo that was on the original form. So that's something that does need to be corrected.
So that's on the next page.
It's on all.
I left my master
it's
on
on
my
all
other
of them 'cause I
computer,
cut and
so I have to
pasted,
take
yep.
notes. All right. Superintendent's performance goals. Excuse me. Student learning goal. Goal number 3, student learning multi-tiered systems of support. Superintendent will continue to work and develop support all building level leaders with their implementation and execution of the multi-tiered system of support that is grade appropriate by the end of June 2024, with the focus on improving instructional leadership at all buildings. Mr. Tracy has met that goal. Professional practice goal, number 4, professional learning. Continue with year 3 of the new superintendent induction program, and NASP is outlined and presented by the Massachusetts Association of School Superintendents, MASS. Mr. Tracy has met that goal. District improvement goal number 1, complete district improvement plan.
Communications.
I'm sorry.
That's the one.
District improvement, complete district, yes, or improvement plan, there we go, that's the typo. So, he has met that goal. District improvement plan, goal number 2, district improvement, manage multiple building construction projects throughout the school year. Superintendent will continue to manage both the athletic facilities improvement project and the Cutler Elementary project through the 23-24 school year by attending all meetings with the OPM, architects, and other entities, gathering information as needed, hosting visiting sessions, and keeping transparency with the communities. Mr. Tracy has met that goal.
Anybody have any questions on those check marks? Sounds like none. Okay.
The superintendent's performance rating for Standard 1, instructional leadership. 1E, data-informed decision-making, uses multiple sources of evidence related to student learning, including state, district, school assessment results, and growth data to inform school and district goals and improve organizational performance, educator effectiveness, and student learning. Goal number 2, district improvement, manage multiple building construction projects throughout the school year. The superintendent will continue to manage both the athletic facilities improvement project in the Cutler Elementary project throughout the 23-24 school year by attending all meetings by the OPM architects and other entities, gathering information as needed, hosting visiting sessions, and keeping transparency with the communities. Goal number 3, student learning, multi-tiered systems of support.
I'm going to just jump in, and I don't think you need to read the whole goals again.
With the whole thing? Oh, it's funny, because I'm like, wait, we should be doing this backwards. So he has been marked proficient for all of these. IF, we did not have the student learning indicator. Overall, for Standard 1 instructional leadership, so Eric was marked as proficient. The comment section, Superintendent Tracy has demonstrated proficiency as his role based on collective evaluations of the school committee members. His performance across various areas has been noteworthy, contributing positively to the overall function and development of the district. Quote number 1, Mr. Tracy has showcased exemplary skills in understanding and presenting complex data, notably during the MSBA school building process. His ability to navigate through intricate stages of projects, such as the athletic field improvement project, reflects his dedication and effectiveness in project management. Additionally, his adeptness in providing concrete information and engaging community interactions has been instrumental in advancing various initiatives within the district. Quote number 2, Mr. Tracy's commitment to data-informed decision-making has been evident through his proactive use of various assessment tools like Panorama, Dibbles, K-8, iReady, Star 360. His comprehensive approach ensures a balanced understanding of district-wide performance and areas needing improvement. Furthermore, his initiatives to address attendance concerns and implement interventions based on data analysis reflect a strategic focus on promoting student success. Under Mr. Tracy's leadership, the district has made significant strides in implementing a multi-tiered system of support. This includes ongoing efforts to support building level leaders in executing MTSS effectively, integrating DEIB work into school improvement plans, and enhancing data meetings to monitor intervention effectiveness. Such initiatives underscores Mr. Tracy's commitment to fostering an inclusive and supportive learning environment for all students. It's important to note, while the majority of evaluations aligned with Mr. Tracy's proficiency, there was a single viewpoint expressing concerns about his performance. However, the dissenting view did not detract from the overall positive assessment of Mr. Tracy's leadership by the school committee.
Okay, anybody have any comments on that section? Questions? Okay.
Superintendent's performance rating for Standard 2, Management and Operations. 2D, Law, Ethics, and Policies. Goal number 2, District Improvement Plan, manage multiple building construction projects throughout the school year. Superintendent Tracy was found proficient. Oh, sorry. And as part of that was also goal number 3, Student Learning, MTSS. Overall rating for the Standard 2, Management and Operations, Mr. Tracy was found proficient. Superintendent Tracy has demonstrated proficiency in Standard 2, Management and Operations, with the majority of committee members acknowledging his effectiveness in overseeing various projects and adhering to legal and ethical guidelines. While there are areas identified for improvement, such as enhancing transparency and community engagement and refining process related to project management, Mr. Tracy's overall performance in this standard has been commendable. Quote number 1, Mr. Tracy has effectively managed multiple projects simultaneously, demonstrating agility and addressing challenges while maintaining transparency and communication with the community. Despite facing obstacles such as community concerns, he has navigated through complexities with diligence and openness, ensuring projects progress towards completion. His collaborative approach with town boards and committees reflect his commitment to fostering positive relationships and advancing district initiatives. Quote number 2 is Mr. Tracy exhibits a deep understanding of state and federal laws, school committee policies, ethical guidelines pertinent to education in Massachusetts. His ability to navigate legal and policy frameworks is evident in his proactive approach to ensuring compliance and providing necessary resources and support to district personnel. Additionally, his role as a model for adhering to ethical standards underscores his leadership in promoting a culture of integrity and accountability within the district. Despite financial pressures, Mr. Tracy has prioritized investments in facility upgrades aimed to enhancing safety and quality of learning environments for students. His oversight of significant projects, including gym refurbishments, technology upgrades, and ongoing construction projects, underscores his commitment to allocating resources effectively to meet the needs of students and staff. Moreover, his willingness to assume additional responsibilities, such as the Director of Facilities role, demonstrates his dedication to ensuring smooth operations within the district. And then, while Mr. Tracy's performance in Standard 2 is generally commendable, there are areas identified for improvement, such as enhancing transparency and community engagement and refining process related to project management. However, these areas for growth do not detract from the overall positive assessment of Mr. Tracy's management and operational leadership by the school committee. That one is a mouthful.
Okay, comments on that section?
Just that it omitted, I think if that's the section I'm thinking of, it omitted some specifics.
So,
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, that it omitted some specifics. I mean,
From your evaluation?
yeah.
okay, so you'd
So
like
I think what you're going to need to because this is the opportunity to actually say what you think it should say.
He's got, well, I don't have my input in front of me. I wasn't aware that Eric was going to receive all the individual ones as well as the group one. So I'm quite happy that as long as he receives the specifics.
Yeah,
that
so
was in mine.
so the superintendent will receive each person's,
Yeah.
so that, and you certainly can discuss it with him, but this, I mean, this is a really important document. This is the document that represents when and if we vote to approve it. This document represents our collective evaluation. It's a really major part of what we do. So if you're uncomfortable with something, it's really important that you share that.
Yeah, so I think Dave knows what, since he has mine in front of me, probably, and I don't.
I could pull yours up.
But I understand from what David said, he's going to revise.
I don't have, I mean, it's up to the committee. My intent was to bring it this evening, and if everybody just said, yep, this is perfect, we could vote on it. But my intent was to offer feedback and comments with the hope that at the next meeting, it really would be just an up or down vote, not a long discussion.
Yeah.
Not to say that people can't, obviously, people can offer discussion at the next meeting, but my hope was to have some detailed discussion here with this document.
Did you want more specifics in maybe the conclusion piece of this section, which is management and operations? Because it says, you know, while Mr. Tracy's performance is generally commendable, there are areas identified for improvement. Did you want maybe more specifics in that area?
Yeah, I think it's kind of pointless, as Jen pointed out, just to say they need improvement without saying, well, what led to that remark?
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
So that's my feedback. So
I do have yours up now if you'd like me to read what your comment was. The lack of being willing to have measurements made of current facilities in order to assess if we have a safe, efficient, and effective learning environment needs a change in attitude. Suggesting that this is a responsibility of the school committee to set as a goal rather than the superintendent taking the lead in proposing the related goals seems to be an unwillingness to take leadership initiative. Also, blaming the regulators for not setting mandates is no excuse for lack of thoughtful diligence when one has been fed so much evidence of the impact improvements in facilities can make to cognition and test scores. Other school districts like BPS and Newton, to name just two, have taken initiative years ago. We should take a forward-looking leadership position where evidence shows improved health and academic outcomes will result.
Right.
Okay, I debated saying anything, but I'm going to say something.
Go right ahead.
You are a one-issue person. All you care about is air quality, and you evaluated him
Okay,
poorly because he doesn't agree with you.
Okay, I'm going to interrupt you because we are not debating each other. We're going to debate the issues. And right now, I heard David ask a question about specificity. I heard David Polito provide some feedback about some options. What I haven't heard is what, if anything, specifically you're proposing to add to this so that the group could decide whether or not they feel comfortable with that.
I mean, you know, I'd be perfectly comfortable adding what.
So you're proposing that you'd like to add the entirety of what David Polito just read?
Yeah, or some summation of it. But what I was just noting is that you wouldn't have known that such a comment existed based on what the...
But you do, because he'll have yours.
Yeah, well...
Not every one of my comments is in here either.
Yeah.
Well, it will be, it'll all become public record.
But it'll be all become public, but...
Yeah, okay.
So I'm saying, like,
yeah, that's fine.
all of the comments will become public record, but this has to represent, like, it has to be a consensus. Like, it
Right.
doesn't have to be like a compromise, but it does have to
No, I think that's actually a
consensus.
really...
There's no, like, right or wrong. But
Yeah,
it
no,
will
no.
be a matter of public record for sure. Anyone can read your evaluation.
So I think, Julia, that's a really important thing to note, is that all of the evaluations will go to Eric, and he will have, but this document, that when we eventually vote on it, it is the evaluation of the superintendent. And so it's actually really important to have a conversation about if you are uncomfortable that something is not in here, and if someone else is uncomfortable that something is in here, we need to have that conversation, even though it's a hard conversation and even though this is a long meeting. It's still really important. So I also, we can do this, I mean, in other words, I'm hearing some concerns and there needs to be some potential edits, and we can discuss again at the next meeting. That's okay. Like, just because my dream was that at next meeting it's a quick up or down doesn't mean that's the way it goes.
I think it's a balanced comment from all sides, because Julia's right. It includes some of the negative statements, but it also includes some of the positive statements, and it's not just a copy and paste of everything that everybody said.
It's hard. I don't envy Dave.
So I don't want to, David, I'm going to look to you and see, we still have some more to go, but do you feel like you have some direction here or not really?
Oh, yeah, I can figure it out.
Okay. All right, so we'll take a stab at it. Okay. I just want to point out before you move on that there is the same typo. It's just the same typo in the next block. My fault.
It's my fault because I also just read right over it. Making sure I'm on the right page. Superintendent's performance rating, standard 3, family and community engagement. 3A, engagement actively ensures that all families are welcome members of the classroom and school community and can contribute to the effectiveness of the classroom, school district, and community. Goal number 1, complete district improvement plan.
Communications.
Communications.
Got him.
You know, it's like, you tell me.
I tried. I really tried.
It goes one in, right out the other. Mr. Tracy has been found proficient.
Mental cue.
And then overall rating for standard 3, family and community engagement, also found proficient. Superintendent Tracy has demonstrated proficiency in standard 3, family and community engagement, with the majority of committee members acknowledging his efforts in fostering inclusive environments and promoting collaboration with families, community organizations, and stakeholders. Through various initiatives and communication strategies, Mr. Tracy is actively engaged with the school community, ensuring transparency and facilitating meaningful participation in district affairs. Quote number 1 is, Mr. Tracy's commitment to community engagement is evident through his extensive presence at meetings, events, and forums both within school and across the district. His weekly updates serve as a valuable communication tool, providing families with insights into students' activities, project updates, and opportunities for involvement. Furthermore, his proactive approach in addressing challenges such as the lack of local journalism impacting communication channels highlights his adaptability and responsiveness to evolving community needs. Mr. Tracy has fostered collaborative relationships with various stakeholders. I'm sorry, this is the second quote. Mr. Tracy has fostered collaborative relationships with various stakeholders, including town officials, municipal leaders, and community members. His efforts to engage stakeholders from diverse segments of the community have been instrumental in furthering the district's mission and garnering support for initiatives like the operating budget. Despite facing criticism, Mr. Tracy has maintained transparency and integrity in his interactions, exemplifying leadership qualities and dedication to building positive relationships. Mr. Tracy's communication style, characterized by transparency and accessibility, has been well received by the community. His weekly updates and participation in visioning sessions demonstrate a commitment to keeping families informed and engaged in district affairs. Moreover, his emphasis on inclusivity, evidenced by initiatives like DEIB training, reflects a proactive approach to promoting a sense of belonging for all students and families within the district.
Okay, comments on this section?
Standard 4, professional culture. 4C, sorry, what?
No, I'm just getting to you. I'm just ahead of you. Go ahead.
4C, communications, demonstrates strong interpersonal, written, and verbal communications. Goal number 1, complete district improvement plan, communications plan.
Thank you.
I just feel like I have to be told, right? No, she didn't. Goal number 2, district improvement, manage multiple building construction projects throughout the school year. Superintendent Tracy was found proficient. 4D, continuous learning, develops and nurtures a culture in which staff members are reflective about their practices and use student data, current research, best practices, and theory to continuously adapt, practice, and achieve improved results, models these behaviors in his or her practice. Goal number 4, professional learning, continue with year 3 of new superintendent induction program and ASP as outlined and presented by the Mass Association of School Superintendents. He has been found proficient. 4E, shared vision, successfully and continuously engages all stakeholders in the creation of a shared educational vision in which every student is prepared and succeeds in post-secondary education, become a responsible citizen and global contributor. Goal number 2, district improvement, manage multiple building construction projects throughout the school year. Goal number 3, student learning, multi-tiered system of support. The superintendent was found proficient. Overall rating for standard 4, professional culture, was found proficient. Superintendent Tracy, comments are, Superintendent Tracy has demonstrated proficiency in fostering a professional culture within the district. His leadership in managing complex projects, such as the Athletic Facilities Improvement Project and Cutler Elementary Project, has showcased his strong interpersonal skills, commitment to continuous improvement, and ability to engage stakeholders in creating a shared vision for the district. Quote number 1, Mr. Tracy's communication skills have been instrumental in guiding the district through various challenges, including construction projects and community engagement efforts. He has maintained transparency and openness in his interactions with stakeholders, actively listening to concerns and facilitating dialogue to address dissenting voices. His utilization of multiple communication channels, such as weekly updates and public forums, reflects a proactive approach to keeping the community informed and engaged. Quote number 2, Mr. Tracy has prioritized professional learning and development, participating in initiatives like a new superintendent induction program to enhance his leadership skills and build relationships with peers. By modeling commitment to continuous improvement, he's fostered a culture of reflection and growth amongst district staff, encouraging them to utilize student data, research, and best practices to adapt and improve their practice. 1 second. Goal 3, through his leadership in managing construction projects and implementing initiatives like MTSS, Mr. Tracy has engaged stakeholders in creating a shared educational vision for the district. By hosting visioning sessions, gathering feedback, maintaining transparency with the community, he has ensured that all voices are heard in shaping the district's future direction. Additionally, his commitment to diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging initiatives reflected dedication to creating an inclusive and supportive environment for all students and staff. While Mr. Tracy's performance in fostering a professional culture is generally proficient, there are areas identified for improvement, such as addressing workload management issues related to overseeing complex projects and enhancing oversight mechanisms to proactively identify and address deficiencies in operational areas. However, these areas for growth do not detract from the overall positive assessment of Mr. Tracy's leadership in promoting a culture of reflection, high expectations, and continuous learning within the district.
Thank you. Comments on this section? I have a question, and I know, David, this is a hard question because, of course, you're consolidating everyone's views, so it's difficult for you to know necessarily. But I'm not sure that I know what it means about addressing workload management issues related to overseeing complex projects.
I actually do probably know what that means. I do remember reading that someone was concerned with the fact that we no longer have a director of facilities and management, and wondered if their dismissal was flagged in time. And that could be part of that management. So that there, as I was
helpful.
reading this too, if we're looking for specifics, I could probably pull those out.
That's helpful. Thank you.
Okay.
I just have a comment on the last part of the document where all of the numbers are listed.
Yep.
Yeah.
David, first, I don't know how you do all you do for this committee. It's amazing. I just wanted to point out that I think that my evaluations for the superintendent performance goals are listed as 3.332, and they should be listed as 4.443. But I could have also filled out.
I will double check that because I know what I might have done, and I apologize for that.
No,
if I did.
no problem. I just want to make
So,
sure that it's correct for the record.
Because with some being
No,
fours and some being fives,
That's-
but I will definitely double check that.
Yeah, no, and that's really important. I'm glad, I mean, it's really important. I've done it once. It's a very difficult job what David has taken on, so, okay. So, are there any other comments right now?
I also wanted to comment on the numbers. I think this, I'm not sure if this is the first time you've included the raw numbers like this.
And
No, I think he did
I've
before.
included them in the final version.
Right, but
I just felt like they were important to sort of
I
throw in.
found this incredibly
mine.
valuable. Just to, for one thing, to see how, I mean, most of us have only done this 1, 2, I think this is my third evaluation. But to see how I compare with the other individuals so that I'm thinking about things in the same way and we're trying for consistency, I think that's, this was, in particular, was valuable for me.
So, yeah, I definitely, one good thing about actually compiling these is it really helps you, double check as you're going through it, like see where you do stand, so I know exactly what you're saying by seeing that. Yeah, and the other reason I sort of like having that at this point too is, should somebody want to take this over next year, I can just hand you over the spreadsheet.
I think you're good.
But again, I really don't mind doing it because I have done it so many times at this point that I have a system. This assessments.
Do we have any other comments? I have one to offer. My overall comment, David, was that, and it's a compliment, is that I actually don't feel like I was quoted very much in here, but I found that I made notes as I went through it, and I ended up with a new acronym, which was ISSS, which was I said something similar. So that came up a lot throughout, and so, I really took that as that my colleagues perhaps said something similar in a more articulate way.
I remember going through this one time with Michelle Bailey doing the assessment, and I'm like, I didn't hear my voice at all in there, and she's like, I quoted you through half of it. So just hearing someone else say it, like, I totally didn't recognize my voice.
Yeah, no, that could be the same, but I wanted to say I did feel like my ideas were in there, even if it wasn't in my words. And before we wrap this up, it sounds like we need to bring from a just housekeeping point of view, it sounds like we just need to bring this back next time. I want to acknowledge that, we just all had this big conversation, but we're talking about Eric, who's sitting right here. I hope, Eric will have the opportunity to digest this as well as all the individual evaluations. I don't know, Eric, if I want to give you an opportunity, if you have anything to say, but you certainly don't have to at this point. I know we haven't voted on it.
No, I appreciate the feedback. I look forward to the what I can do to continue to improve and grow, and that's an important piece of the puzzle for me for next year as I build my goals for the next school year and try to link those up again with our district goals and our future plans. So thank you. This is a lot of work. I know it is. It's a massive amount of trying to just think through all of the things and going through my data, which I think was, 20-something pages long. So just, I appreciate the work that has gone into this. Thank you.
I just wanted to say thank you for including so much more data. Every year's got progressively better, and I've seen that, and it makes me confident that the district's going in the right direction because it's based on actual data and not just what somebody feels or thinks.
Thank you.
Okay, so we will see that on the next agenda for a vote. Okay. So, David.
Superintendent.
What was that?
Said I can't spell superintendent.
Okay, well.
Got it.
So, David,
Yes.
you're next up. So, the next up is the vote on the preferred option for the potential elementary school project. How I'd like to structure this is I would like to have our secretary start us off with a motion. As we all know on the committee, motions are typically made in the affirmative. That's the way motions are made. So I'm going to ask you, David, to do that, make an affirmative motion, if you would.
Sure.
And we'll discuss once we're under a motion.
I move that the Hamilton-Wenham Regional School Committee support the Cutler School Building Committee's selection on April 22nd, 2024 of option C 3.4 as the preferred option to be submitted with the preferred schematic report due to the MSBA on June 27th, 2024.
Second.
Second by Jen Carr. So just before we dive into questions and comments, just for clarity, everyone heard the motion, everyone understands that that motion represents the consolidated option that was brought forth by the school building committee. Everybody's clear on that? Okay. All right, did you want the motion read again?
No, I just
Okay.
wanted to be clear.
Okay. I can't imagine that anyone has a question. I think we're probably ready to move to debate, but does anyone have a clarifying question? Jen?
Actually, do you have so irregardless of what motion or what plan is accepted or not accepted going forward, what are the costs between, and I'm not looking for exact numbers, just categoricals, the cost between now and town meeting if we send a plan forward to the MSBA?
So we've already contracted for the feasibility and schematic design with the 1.2 that was secured at town meeting last year.
Well, did that.
That takes us all the way through to that point.
So there'll be no additional charges?
If we continue on the track that we're on.
Yes.
Yeah. It's just the money that we've already allotted. We have contracts with JCJ, PMA, or Owner's Project Management, through town meeting. Then from that point, the motion on the table at town meeting would be relative to securing funding for whatever option might be picked.
And
for whatever option. If it was just the Cutler rebuild, you're covered for that as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whatever is chosen, we're going to go we have to go to town meeting to basically ask for the funding. So it'll be a warrant article, then it'll be a motion made to support the warrant article or not for whatever, say C3, 2.1, the addition renovation. So something like that goes forward, that's what we would go forward with. We would just continue the process. The architects from this point on go into schematic design based on one of those selections.
And one more question. Am I correct in that if no option goes forward, or the option we put forward towards town meeting fails, we're going to have to basically do another whole $1.2 million to get us to the point that we are right now?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
I think I should have had Mr. Musser come back. He said it earlier. He quoted it perfectly. The MSBA, if you get a project to a town meeting or to a town vote, and it fails, they give you a window of time to kind of revisit that and figure out why, what happened, and see if you can change that vote. If not, that's kind of when I think it's a 120-day window,
Right.
To kind of quote recover, if you will, but
if
it's
we
harder.
can't recover.
Yeah, you're going to spend the next 10 months. Well, you're not. The JCJ, the architectural firm, will spend the next 10 months really honing in on the schematic design and the specifics about rooms, room placements, and they'll even get into three-dimensional rendering so that you can start to see the building, the inside, the outside, so that people can have an idea. That work itself is just for one specific model. So you're picking whatever, C3.1, C3.4, whatever gets picked, they're going to submit to the state on the 27th, I believe it is, it's the 27th or 28th of June, the PSR, the preferred schematic. That's the preferred schematic report, which will say this is what we've decided to move forward with. And then they go from there. They spend the entire next 8 or 10 months. They're actually compacted now because of the time we did the poll and things like that, but they've committed to the schedule. So whatever we decide, they're going to take it now and put some life to it. So that when you get to town meeting, you have full set of, floor plans and understanding of how things interact within the building, what the exterior materials are, interior materials are.
Total cost?
All kinds, yep. You'll have a, by the fall, we should have an actual kind of closer cost, which we'll work to kind of hone down. And then also a more firm commitment on the number from the MSBA. So once they do the schematic design and figure out, okay, let's hone in on materials, for example. Certain materials will bring the price down or price up, depending on what direction you go. Certain materials you can take out, certain things you can add in. So that process gets you to probably late fall or winter-ish maybe. You'll start to see a more exact number and a more exact MSBA reimbursement number. That could be higher or lower depending on whatever we pursue, whether we pursue extra points for LEED certification or extra points for energy efficiencies and things like that.
So it sounds like you couldn't submit two plans.
No, you have, that's why they call it the preferred schematic. It's one schematic design because they understand, I think, how long the process of design is going to take.
Yeah, the detailing is going to.
It's been hard for the team, especially the architect, to deal with 14. They were literally trying to come up with 14 different manipulations of buildings. So bringing that down and trying to hone in on it has been quite the process. Most communities don't have 14 options on the table. Most communities, my last building project was a high school and it was one option. Here it is, and it was really like we're either going to do it or not. So.
Okay.
Other questions, and then we'll move. To be clear, we are not having.
I heard you say that earlier.
No, please sit down. You're not recognized. We are having a conversation here at the table, as I've explained very clearly.
I don't know what CC4 is.
As I've explained very clearly. Please sit down.
Okay.
Does anyone on the committee have other questions? Looks like we're ready for debate. Who would like to start discussion?
I'm ready to vote.
If
Okay. Nope, I'm just giving you time.
If anything, I think the survey made, at least me personally, my decision harder. Because if we followed the will of the community, we wouldn't have any new school.
Correct.
Not a new Cutler, not a new combined school, and the difference in between the two, it's a little over 5%, so it's a little over the standard error of the actual survey. Over the last, with all the graduation activities taking place, I've talked to, I'm sorry, what?
Oh, yeah, can you talk into
sorry.
the mic? I'm sorry.
With all the graduation activities taking place recently, I've had the chance to talk to multiple teachers. And I have teachers telling me, like, just one-on-one conversations, that going into Winthrop and teaching makes them sick. Like, makes them physically ill. And I don't think it's fair for us to make our teachers work in that environment. So I think we need a new school. As to
Yet you
the
oppose
format
doing
of
anything
such,
about
I don't,
it.
that's where I'm coming from.
They're going to be ill for the next 5 years until the building's built, and nothing that you've ever suggested would actually improve that.
Excuse me? I don't understand what you just said.
Yeah, people are getting sick in our buildings.
If all we do is Cutler, it's gonna be a lot more than 5 years to do Winthrop.
Yeah.
I mean, if,
no.
let's be honest, if all we do is Cutler, we start at ground zero from Winthrop, and that's what, 8 to 10 years?
No, here's where we completely disagree. All 5 schools need improvements. They don't need necessarily to replace.
I'm not getting into that debate with you, David.
I
We've
don't-
already had it.
Oh,
We're talking about elementary schools right now.
you're
so-
now imperiously.
So just so we're clear, the motion on the table is regarding the elementary school. It's the consolidated option, so that's what we're talking about right now. David?
I'm happy to comment. I think the survey is clear. You've got maybe a fighting chance of a Cutler only in terms of getting a vote. You've got absolutely no chance of getting it for the consolidated school, and so we would waste a lot of money and time if we go down that path. It's the committee's decision, but it seems to me that it's financially reckless. It's gambling.
Okay, thank you. Other comments?
Go ahead. Yeah.
That's why I asked Eric, would there be any additional costs? At this point in time, it costs us nothing to suggest a new school, to take it to town meeting.
Trent?
So, I know you all have heard me say this before, but I think that the only lose-lose situation here is we take something to town meeting. We've already spent $1.25 million on it. We end up having it not pass, and then we have a bias against us at MSBA for our ability to get another school through. I think that the sunk cost is something that if we don't have a deliverable on it, it caused harm, right? How many teachers' salaries are $1.25 million in a given year? And so I think that we are really duty-bound to identify a way that we can be responsive to the community opinions for a number of reasons.
Okay.
I think that there's money on the table from the state. It is clear to me what will likely happen if we try to push the large school through at town meeting. Nobody has a crystal ball. But I think that we have, the only data point that we have is that there is strong opposition. The 40% of people of the 58 were strongly opposed. That's 40% of the people that responded. And we did get the most accurate polling agency that we possibly could. And we have the most scientific data that we possibly can to inform our decision. I'm not saying it was perfect. I don't think that there is a way of doing this perfectly. But I don't think we're moving forward with no information. I would like to propose an alternative future where we do not vote tonight to send the preferred option to the MSBA. We instead charge the school building committee to look at the other options and come back with all of the information on the other options that were posed, specifically the one that Hamilton actually had more than a majority that was in support of. We delay submitting, and we get this through at town meeting by demonstrating responsiveness to the committee, such that we're able to get people who are adamantly opposed to the large school to be able to support this committee by being responsive to the information that they've given us. And then we rebuild one of the schools, and we apply again at MSBA to rebuild our other school. If we take it to town and we fail, we're going to be on that same timeline, but we're going to have no money for any of the schools. And so I think that we're headed on a path where it's a lose-lose, and we have sunk costs. And I think that we have the opportunity to not be headed on that path if we choose to.
Thank you.
I have
This is a
Is there a motion?
question,
Can I, okay, I do want to give everybody the opportunity to speak.
and that's fine. You said one of the options had the support of the community, but I'm not seeing that in the data.
No, I think it was just, if you looked at just Hamilton for the option that was closest that was presented, just Hamilton did support it. Wenham didn't. There's work to be done to gain trust in the community. But I do think that if we say what we're going to do is we're going to go for broke for the option that there is the most, antipathy for, that our likely outcome is that we're going to fail. And I think that if we choose an option that demonstrates responsiveness to the community, that still improves our schools and successfully gets money from the state, then we're going to improve the education environment. We can still apply to MSBA for the second school. We can be on a path where we're getting to equity over time. Right now, we don't have any of that, right? The only thing that is equitable is that everybody's in a bad building. And I fear that we're going to end up losing and coming back, and we have the information now to know that that's a good possibility.
I think to that, the most clear information that actually came out of this poll is that 80% of the respondents don't realize we have bad buildings.
Right.
Right? And I think that's the most key thing here, right? I mean, when you look at the Pro 3.4 message, right, and the changes of opinions there, then it becomes, really insignificant, the difference between the 3.1 and 3.4 options, and at that point to put forward an option that does not meet, our equity goals, it does not do anything to address overcrowding populations of the two schools that would remain in existence, right? I think that if we're taking anything out of this data, it's that we need to inform 80% of the community how important it is how bad we need these schools.
So I'm going to take a quick look around at the committee and point at the clock and say I need a motion.
All right.
I move that we extend the meeting 20 minutes.
Second.
Do I have second by Amy Kumberger? Is there any discussion?
No.
All those in favor? It's unanimous. We'll check in again with you at about 10:25. Were you finished? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, that's all I had to say. I mean, to negate the 2 years of work that the school building committee put into diving deep into doing all of this, full well knowing that part of this process at this point is to come up with better numbers, a better plan, and better communications plan to get it out to the community to make it, this is part of the process. It is in fact part of the process, and to, second guess the work that's already been put in at this point when, there's no clear alternative given, that's going to be a slam dunk is, while I do understand the thought of saying, we do run the risk of taking it to town meeting and not passing, but I mean, that's a risk we've taken from day one.
Thank you.
I think
I think we haven't heard from David, or have we heard? I'm not sure who's spoken.
I'm not making a comment.
David, go
It's
ahead.
not just a question, I think, of the buildings being in bad shape, with which I agree. It's there's a chunk of the community that just say this is too much money regardless of that. The ones, there's an awful percentage of them that don't have kids in the school. So that's, they're not, those people are not.
30%
Yeah.
were parents.
Yeah, so 70% are people who don't have skin in the game, but they do when it comes to paying their taxes. So I wouldn't interpret that you can talk them out of it based on the quality of the school rather than the sheer size of the bill that they're going to get in their taxes.
If we're talking about doing one school, we're spending $106 million for that one school, and then, but the alternative of building this consolidated school is only a fraction more than that, rather than you could imagine what the cost of a second brand-new school would be 10 years down the line. So
And then the third, because this would be a
third, right.
90-year-old school at that point.
So I think that's something that's
Wouldn't
really
address the high
important to
school, wouldn't
consider is this isn't just about replacing Cutler, it's about addressing all of the schools and over
Well,
time, how expensive that's going to be.
I think unfortunately the plan doesn't address all the schools. And that is an issue too, is that it's not holistic in terms of looking at all 5 schools and saying, how do we, for the next, even before we get to the new school, how do we do a better job in our schools for the next 4 or 5 years? Or in the case of the high school and the middle school,
I think
God
that's
knows how long.
addressed on the goals we discussed this evening and the SOIs that are coming up for
Not in any great detail.
Okay, again, though, we're keeping to the,
elementary school.
okay.
To say not in any great detail, the reason there's not plans in any more great detail is because we're putting a roadblock in front of it right now, right? So to say that
No, I meant for the other schools.
well, I mean, you can only do one thing at a time.
I don't agree with that in terms of.
If you could come up with an economic plan that we could build 3 schools simultaneously, I'm dying to hear it.
No, well, improving the schools doesn't imply building whole new schools.
Well, we have failing infrastructure, right? And 80% of the town doesn't realize that.
Yeah.
Okay. So I wasn't really going to say
I
anything.
didn't say you were
but-
dumb. I said the poll just said that 80%, right, which is the numbers that came out of the poll, thinks that the buildings are in fair, good, or great condition.
No, yep, let's focus it here.
I didn't call anyone in the room dumb.
Okay. No. I guess I will just want to say that was actually what I was going to say, is that was from the poll, which I agree was done by a reputable polling agency. And from the poll, we know that our communities, when polled, when asked, the members of the community think that our schools are in pretty good shape. And so I see that as an opportunity for us to understand. I don't want to speak for the whole committee, but I do believe that I don't think there's anyone in the committee that actually thinks that our schools, the physical condition of our schools are excellent or good. And so for me, that was important information that members of the public actually think that our schools are in better shape than we as the committee see. And I think that's an opportunity for us to understand that there's education to be done. It certainly makes sense, I'll just say, like they tore down my high school a few years ago where I went to high school many years ago. And of course I thought, how could they possibly tear it down? It was wonderful. Well, of course I hadn't been there in 20 years. And so I had a reaction because it was hard for me to imagine that it wasn't in good shape. I could say more, but I don't feel like I need to. If other people feel like there's something, it looks like we might be ready to vote. David, do you have something more?
No, just to repeat, I think that's an unnecessary gamble to vote for the largest project. I think you're fighting some level of odds that is extreme. And the consequence will be wasting a lot of money and a year.
I think the consequence isn't just wasting a lot of money, it's the progress that we can make if we get something passed, even if it's smaller than the largest project, is going to not occur. We're going to very likely end up with the same buildings that we have right now without any state fundings to be able to support. That's the lose-lose. That's where we invested money and we get nothing out of it. And we've put all of this time. You have 70% of your time working on this building project. I think was the like that's a huge amount of effort, and you're not the only one doing it. It's a sunk cost.
So, if I may, I really respect what you just said, and I really respect your logic and the thoughtful way that you've put it forward. I don't agree, and I hope you can respect what I'm going to say. For me, I see that there is a risk of bringing any of these projects forward that they might not pass. That's a real risk, and those fears that you just described are real. And what I see is, to me, the best project that I think is the most, it provides capacity, the consolidated project provides a lower cost versus doing more than one school. It provides the extra capacity that we wouldn't get. I think it's the best option. I also respect the work that's been done. I see all of these as a risk, and because of that, I want to put forth what I think is our best option for our students. I know we don't agree, but I hope that you can hear that that's another way to look at this, because I can see that yours is another way to look at it, and it's logically thought out, and these are tough votes.
One comment.
Amy.
I just want to offer a different perspective. I know that there's a strong narrative that the majority of people feel that they don't support this project. The poll reflected the same idea. The crowd that comes and has a website and emails, they're very passionate, and I really am happy that people are passionate and paying attention. I also recognize that we are an elected body, and the majority of the people have not contacted us, and to me that means that they're in support of the project. And please be respectful. You have to be respectful. The poll itself, I'm not a professional pollster. I am a professional communicator. Some of the language in the poll was biased. And also the presentation of the poll. A lot of people, I got feedback that people didn't take it because they felt like it was a scam. They felt like they didn't realize that it came from the district. So I can't put all of my stock in the poll. I'm really happy to have the data. We have the raw data that I think will be helpful in communicating going forward, but I just want to offer a different perspective that this is not the whole story.
Okay, thank you. All right. Anybody have anything else? Okay, looks like we're ready to vote. So the motion on the table is.
Want me to read it again?
Huh?
Want me to read it again?
Yeah, why don't we read it again, just to be clear.
I move that the Hamilton-Wenham Regional School Committee support the Cutler School Building Committee's selection on April 22nd, 2024 of option C 3.4 as a preferred option to be submitted with the preferred schematic report due to the MSBA on June 27th, 2024.
Okay. Everybody's clear on the motion? All right. All those in favor? That is 5 in favor. Those opposed? 2 opposed, and the motion passes. So,
You go. Oh, let's go. We're in the next one.
Please run against us.
I guess we're Brendan.
Feel free.
okay.
Vote me out.
So, just so the committee understands, and we talked about this last time, there is a sort of a related vote, which is the MSBA Module 3. Can you guys hear me?
No, not really.
Not really. Can we do a 5-minute recess, Dana?
Oh, God.
No, let's
I
not
hate
recess,
doing
but
it.
can everyone please quiet down so we can continue our business?
Yep. We're moving forward. Okay. Members of the committee, can you all hear me? We're moving forward.
I thought there was a cop in here.
So, what?
I thought there was a cop.
There you go. You're good.
He was only for public comment, I think.
Okay, so as we talked about at the last meeting, this secondary vote is just, it's a requirement by the MSBA if at any point you put forward an option that makes the grades any different at any of the levels. And so this is a vote, given the result of the vote that we just had, this is a vote that would be needed. Do we have text on the vote?
Yeah.
Yeah, Dave does.
You have it? Okay, so can you make a motion so we?
Yeah. I move the Hamilton Wenham Regional School Committee authorize the school committee chair and the superintendent to sign the Module 3 grade reconfiguration and districting approval certification as presented to be submitted with the preferred schematic report due to the MSBA on June 27th, 2024.
Second.
Second by Amy Kumberger. Does anybody have any questions about this?
No, we reviewed it last time,
We
right?
discussed
Yeah.
it last time, and it really is just because the grades in
requirement of the
new consolidated
MSBA.
school would not be K through 5 as they are now, and that's why. Okay. Are we ready to vote?
Yes.
Okay. All those in favor? That is 5 in favor. Those opposed? That is 1 opposed. Any abstentions?
I guess.
Okay. So, and that is 5 to 1 to 1, and the motion passes.
But this would be conditional upon.
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
school.
it's actually just a procedural as part of the process, so that.
It's contingent. Okay.
Right, it would only happen if it passes. Well, all of this would only happen if the consolidated school were to pass. Okay. I don't know. Do we have any committee reports? Capital Finance?
I sent out an email at the start of the week to try and set up meetings, but I know it's a busy week with graduation and end of season tournaments and all kinds of things, so.
Okay.
I know they'll get back to me when they have time.
Did I respond to you?
No.
No? Okay.
Vinny responded.
All right, we'll get it done. All right, policy?
Same.
Okay, thank you. That's short and sweet. Negotiations, we are going to talk to you in executive session.
I do have one more thing. Just, I think we need to technically get together one more time to approve our minutes to officially put that subcommittee to
Of
bed.
the ad hoc committee.
Yeah.
For the ad hoc, yeah.
Yes.
I
There is a
just thought about
policy.
that the other day.
There is a policy. I think Vinny had a policy that he wanted the policy committee to review, wasn't it?
Policy for your next meeting. Yeah.
Yeah, no, we're in the middle of scheduling that.
Okay, good.
Email's been sent.
Okay, superintendent's report.
I'll be quick. Just congratulations and happy graduation to our
Beautiful.
class of 2024. Fantastic. Indoors, air conditioning. It was nice. It was
That wasn't shot.
really nice ceremony. Great group of kids. They were a lot of fun to hang out with during this year and go to their events and see some of the things that are going on. That brings me into the shift into what we did all week this week with all of the school events going on, trying to get my mileage up and get around to all the different events going on this week. One of the more fun things I went to was today with the kids that were at the high school fabrication class invited me to see their trebuchet launches. So they had to design and build and launch, and One of the trebuchets tossed an egg over 300 feet, with very little fine tuning. So that's quite a feat to
What's a trebuchet?
catapult, like a spring-loaded, weighted catapult.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's fascinating. They do it as part of the physics and engineering class, and it's fascinating to see what kids come up with.
Excellent.
So, yeah. So that's been a lot of fun, and certainly we have a ton of athletic events still going on. So go Generals! I won't go through the whole list, but that is all.
Thank you. I'm going to spare you the chair's report because we are just about out of time. Do we have topics for future meetings? Anyone?
Is our last meeting June 22nd?
Yes.
Okay.
20th.
It wasn't a
20th.
topic.
I think it's the
for future-
20th.
20th.
Oh, June 20th,
Yeah.
okay, and then we won't meet again until August?
August.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to read a big, long thing now. Sort of a theme of the evening. Okay. I move to adjourn to executive session for purpose number 3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining with the Public Employee Committee if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body and the chair so declares. And for purpose number 3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining with the HWREA if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body and the chair so declares. And for purpose number 2, to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel, Eric Tracy, and an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the school committee and not to return to open session.
Second.
Second by Jen Carr, and we need a roll call vote. Trent?
Aye.
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 And it's unanimous, and the motion passes, and we are adjourned into executive session.